It's time for Intelligent Machines. Jeff Jarvis is here. Paris Martineau, our guest this week. The wonderful Jacob Ward. Jake, of course, for a long time on CNN, NBC as a television correspondent. He's also the author of a book. We're going to learn this week how technology is creating a world without choices and how to fight back. Next on Intelligent Machines.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Intelligent Machines, episode 817, recorded April 30th, 2025. Wheel 101. It's time for Intelligent Machines, the show where we cover the wild and wacky and ever-changing world of AI, including robotics and, of course, all the smart machines all around you. Today, as always, Jeff Jarvis is here, Professor Emeritus of Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism. The City University of New York. Hello, Mr. Jeff Jarvis.
Hello, boss. How are you?
Author of, look at all those books behind him, The Web We Weave magazine, the Gutenberg
Got a whole library
parenthesis. A whole library card. So nice to see you, Jeff. Paris, are you in Florida?
I am. I'm in Florida for a wedding. And
How exciting.
I'm also recording a podcast.
A wedding and a podcast. It's the perfect mix.
You're
Many
at that
people are
age.
saying they go together like a library card and a stack of books.
How many weddings a year are you going to these days?
I was about to say I'm not yet at peak wedding, but it's getting up there.
You're getting to
Oh,
that
I miss
age.
peak wedding.
It's starting-
Peak
it's starting
peak
to
wedding
happen.
is fun.
Yeah.
That was a great phase. I loved peak wedding.
I'm at peak funeral right now, so you know it's
Hey, you know, a wedding, a podcast, a funeral. It's all. it's all love.
Hey, as a movie
3
title here.
podcasts and a wedding. Yeah. I am so glad to have Jacob Ward on the show with us. He did a tweet a couple of weeks ago, and then I bought his book, and I went, wait a minute, we got to get Jacob back. Jake's been a correspondent for PBS and CNN, and you've probably seen him there, or Al Jazeera, NBC News. He's the host of a new podcast, The Rip Current with Jacob Ward, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And, of course, there's a newsletter at theripcurrent.com. Hello, Jacob. Great to have
Hello,
you.
Leo. Thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
The book, The Loop, was your COVID project, I think.
It was.
Yeah. And, you know, I picked it up and I was enthralled. I can't put it down now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you did a good job of combining a lot of research into how we think and making it topical in this, you know, world of surveillance capitalism, if you will. What is The Loop?
Yeah. So, geez, I'm so flattered to be asked about this. So basically, Leo, the concept was I was spending I had just done basically 4 years of a big documentary series for PBS called Hacking Your Mind. That was all about how behavioral scientists have shown that we are captive to very ancient circuitry that governs most of the decisions we make in our day-to-day lives, and we don't even know about it. And then in my day job as a tech correspondent, I was talking to all these companies that were trying to, you know, break through with these nascent, generative AI systems and neural networks and the rest of it to sort of govern human behavior as much as possible, corral human behavior as much as possible. And as I saw these two things coming together, I thought, oh, this is bad. There's a scary thing coming in which I worried that companies were going to basically foist AI on us and wind up amplifying kind of the worst parts of being human, our most
You don't
instinctive
say.
tribal bias stuff. I know,
Stop
right?
it, Paris. Don't
I
egg him
know.
on.
Well, Paris, I mean, this is the thing is like, I thought I was like 10 years early on this subject. It came out about 9 months before ChatGPT did.
Oh my God.
So basically like, I've been surfing a lot has been what's been happening lately. Because I just, you know, as I watch my thesis come to life over and over and over again, I just kind of, I've been stepping back, going to the beach as much as I can.
Well, yeah, in fact, that's the name of your podcast, The Rip Current, although be careful on the beach because
That's the thing, dangerous place.
as you
the whole
point out,
concept.
it's
that's right.
not. You say the rip current covers the big hidden forces just beneath the surface that threaten to pull us all out to sea. You know, it's. I've read as you have, and probably most of our audience has, you know, Thinking Big and Fast and Slow, you know, the Kahneman book and the behavioral economics books, and we've listened to the podcast. So I think we're more and more aware of how much our unconscious mind rules our choices. Even Jonathan Haidt, the late great Jonathan Haidt, in his book The Unreasoning Mind, said, our reason is just a little driver riding an elephant of emotion, and that we think most of what we do with our reasoning is justify the emotional decisions we made. But what's scary is the idea that big tech would then weaponize that against us.
Well, and the thing is, I think whenever you talk to people in that world, you start to realize that it's not a grand conspiracy. It's not as if these people, I think it turns out to be, the CEOs of a lot of these companies do turn out to be on the same text thread. But I don't think that they are necessarily like executing some grand multi-year plan. It's just that they keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and certain spaghetti strands stick. And one of the stickiest is, when you amplify our most instinctive, unconscious decision-making, you wind up, that's the part of our brain that's easiest to sell stuff to and the easiest to create predictive behavior in. It also, I was just literally on a walk right before you and I joined up, got on here. I was literally on a walk with a guy whose whole work is around trying to fight loneliness in this world. And his whole thesis is, every time you through technology, get to do, every time an aspect of your life is made simpler through technology, you tend to be made a little bit lonelier, right? There are these qualities to being human that are messy and, full of friction and unpredictable, that are really the best parts of being who we are. But technology right now is not about amplifying those things. It's about trying to get us to bet on football on our phones.
Right. They're not trying to make us lonely, but that's the upshot.
But that's the upshot. Exactly. It's not a conspiracy. It's just that the incentive structure of the moment winds up doing this. And here's the other part.
Just like media.
Right? Well, that's right. That's right. It all feels that way.
At least when I'm watching TV, I'm sitting next to my wife. When I'm wearing a Vision Pro headset, I'm all alone.
Yeah. And
when I'm watching, when I'm looking at Twitter and doom scrolling, it's just me there.
No, that's right. And the thing that's bothering me the most right now, because I know that, our topic here today is intelligent machines, we're thinking about AI specifically. So for me, the thing that I am really thinking about right now is how much, so one thing that happened a lot in researching the book was talking to experts in how humans behave, and then meeting these companies that think they understand how humans should behave or would behave if they made good decisions, and are trying to pre-encode those values into these AI systems they're building, and then they would bump into these big problems in doing that. So one example is, I was talking to people at one of the big foundational model companies, and they said that inside their company, they had this thought experiment that they would get into, this fight that they would get into with one another all the time, and they called it the heroin problem. I talk about it in the book. The heroin problem is, let's say you're an AI company, you're trying to make a perfect AI personal assistant that's great at delivering to you the perfect schedule, and that knows who you're going to see, and adjusts to your sleep schedule and just makes your life perfect. But you're addicted to heroin. What is that system supposed to do? Is it supposed to get you off of heroin, right? Try to get you into rehab and continuously work against your addiction? Or is it supposed to make your addiction easier to live with, facilitate it? Does it book the appointment with your dealer? Does it work around when it knows you're going to be junk sick? You know what I mean? Like we don't know. No two people have the same values. And right now, you've got all these companies trying to talk about their values. Anthropic, right, has a whole constitutional AI idea that you're going to pull in all of these universal human values, but you can't find two political scientists that agree on values. And then at the same time, you've got the thing that's been happening this month that's blowing my mind is you've got the newest version of Elon Musk's model, Grok 3, now has an unhinged mode where all the guardrails come off, and it'll do any gross thing you ask it to do. You ask it to write a blackmail letter, it'll do it. You ask it to impersonate a child for icky reasons, it'll do it. You know what I mean? So we're in this weird world where we're coming face to face with our values and how little we understand about our values at the same time that we are literally trying to encode those values into these systems, because these companies expect that these systems are going to run every aspect of our lives.
It's like asking Philip Morris about nicotine. Oh, it's not addictive, but they're sure as hell not taking it out of the cigarettes. Jeff, you were the one who told me that Hannah Arendt said that loneliness is what leads to dictatorships, to authoritarianism.
Yes, you become alienated from your community and from society and become more vulnerable. But Jake, I'm as you're talking, I'm wondering in a way if the unhinged, this is for argument's sake, if the unhinged version is the better version insofar as it's truer to what it is.
It's accurate.
And I constantly argue that the thought that we can have guardrails that will make everything safe is a fool's errand, because you can't anticipate everything bad that might be done.
All of the research
what it really is maybe better.
You can easily poison these prompts and get the AI to tell the truth. And I'm with you, Jeff. I've always said, AI safety is a myth. First of all, you can't get it. Second, why? It's like saying, well, don't show anything bad on the internet in your search results. That's the internet. That's what's there. That's us.
I hear that argument, and I think there's a handful of things there are a handful of reactions I have to it. So first is, and Paris, I want to hear your thoughts on this too, because I know you've thought about this too. So for me, I think there's an accelerationist idea that's out there right now that if we just open up, the world, the market will figure it out and will sort of burn through to the truth of society and blah, blah, blah. Like there's this whole kind of idea right now that we should be accelerating the development of this stuff because clearly it's going to lead somewhere, productive if we just kind of let it go. But I think that human history has shown us that is not how it works. That when you let the market just roll, all kinds of bad things come out of it, right? I just came out of a podcast interview on the Rip Current with a leading national expert in addiction, right? And he was talking about how in the last, addiction is an invention of the market. It's only been around for about 200 years because the market takes what, tobacco, which used to be a raw thing, back when tobacco was first being smoked, a handful of people would die every year of it because nobody liked smoking it because it was horrible to take into your lungs. It was a terrible, rough plant. Then they got really good at toasting it. And
it's toasted,
right? And putting the filter on the front and all of that stuff that made it suddenly very easy to absorb into your lungs. And suddenly we're awash now in tens of thousands of cigarette deaths a year, right? Letting the market do what it wants to do with these products doesn't necessarily lead to a better plan. There's a reason that we have literal guardrails on the highway and lane dividers and seat belts and airbags. These are not because we did away with the friction that we, of how to control these sorts of technologies. It's because we had to pull back. And to me, there's an illusion right now, because this is the other part of it, right, is that the AI people who make those, the leaders of those companies promise in this very evangelical kind of faith-based way, a great thing is coming. AGI is coming and it's going to improve the world endlessly, and we're going to discover new science and breakthrough stuff, and you'll live a life of leisure. And they say that all of this, letting people do horrible stuff with AI is going to be worth it in order to get to that future.
Oh, yeah, that I don't agree with. That I don't agree with.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels, I don't understand the logic of saying we shouldn't try our best to reflect some basic human decency in the systems that
if we can know if that's possible, though. If we fool ourselves into thinking that we can get rid of the stuff, the bad stuff, then we have false comfort.
I mean, I don't think it has to be a binary. I think that we can, existing in a modern, technologically advanced society that we are currently, we can come at new and transformative technologies with the understanding that they contain the potentiality to cause great harm or have great good come from them. And that the great goods that are going to come out of them will only exist in a world in which we work actively to make that happen. And given the examples of almost every technology we've seen in the past, it seems more likely that great harms are going to come if we're not incredibly on top of it from a regulatory perspective and from a population-wide morals or social norms perspective. If we are not approaching this on all angles of, hey, we've got to take responsibility to make sure whatever this new product or technology we're doing is good and is being created in a way that brings about more light than it does darkness. I don't think that's, maybe it's a naive thing to expect of capitalist enterprises, but I think that if AI contains even some of the potential that its biggest proponents are espousing, it's well worth the effort.
Did you just say that?
That sounded almost accelerational.
I've been trying to say that for months. That is the argument, right? Let's not hold it back until we know what it can do.
No. To be clear, my argument is not that we shouldn't hold it back. It's that we should do everything in our power to make sure that this technology is being developed responsibly and has guardrails on it. Because if these companies are not going to stop creating this and it's going to have some fantastic sort of output, or even some portion of the fantastic output, then you guys can slow down a little bit and make sure that and deal with regulators being up in your business.
What if it's not possible?
If it's not possible, then I think that it's even more pertinent, not ban it, but I think it's even more pertinent that we have common sense regulations, that we make it, a social norm that companies employ teams of. The term AI safety has become sort of a pejorative among you two, Leo and Jeff, but employ people actually dedicated to the concept of AI safety in the sense of, let's make sure this being designed in a way that we think of the potential ramifications.
I'm not against AI safety.
No, I'm all for
agree
safety.
with you. I'm not against AI safety. I think the problem is how humans use it. For instance, we now know Clearview AI was created specifically with the purpose of making its facial recognition make it easier to put brown people in jail. That, once you know that, that's the people that's the problem, not the AI that's the problem. That's the content it's trained on is the problem. It's the way it's used is the problem.
And this is why I would say that this is why you shouldn't fall into so much of the rhetoric around this kind of thing plays into the ambitions and motivations of the people running the companies that are making these things. Like I keep hearing, for instance, I remember years ago I was interviewing Palmer Luckey, who created right? Big military contractor. Yeah. He invented, he was the creator of Oculus, and then he went on to do a bunch of military contracting he still runs Anduril, which makes all these, drones and facial recognition systems and weaponized systems for the military. And I asked him, you have created technologies that are going to necessitate new morals in the world, morals that we don't have right now. Yeah. So is it up to you to invent the morals along with the technology that you have built? And he said the same thing that everybody in tech has always said to me, which is, that's not my job. Yeah. My job is to build the thing, and then democracy will figure it out. And I just think more and more we're seeing that the really smart reformers around this stuff, the people who are really starting to think about this in a more sophisticated way, I would argue more adult way, are saying, no, actually, we need to start asking, what is the end game here? And why am I being tasked with building this thing? At a big tech company these days, you get fired for asking, if you're in one of the really big ones, if you ask too much about the big plan, you get fired. You're not allowed to ask. You're supposed to keep it real compartmentalized. And there's a reason for that. So for me, Jeff, and I want to hear more about this notion that there's, that we can't agree on universal human values, and we can't agree on what this thing should do, because I feel there is some of that.
No, I'm not saying we can't agree on it. I'm saying we cannot inject that into the machine. It is a general machine, and it can do whatever anyone asks it to do. And the guardrails prevent certain things, but only if you anticipate them. And hearing both of you, Paris and Jake, I'm reminded of hearing Alex Karp, and no, Leo, I haven't read his book yet, because I've been reading some better books, in a conference in Vienna some years ago. And he said, not unlike what Musk has said, what others have said, regulate us. Yes, regulate us. Because what he's doing in saying that is pushing off the responsibility of those ethical judgments onto government. right? You guys come up with the rules, then we'll do whatever's left over. We'll do everything we can except the rules you set, rather than saying that we're going to be judged by what we do. And my point about guardrails is only that they are bound to fail. And so we've got to recognize that as a society. And when we don't, we put ourselves, I think, in a position of jeopardy as a result.
In our Discord, Darren Oki, who is, like me, a fan of AI, does point out that AI, like other technologies, will probably cause harm. But he says, I would assert the chance of successfully guessing in what way and choosing the correct guardrails is 0%. He said, seatbelts made sense, but it was after you started to see what the problem was that you were solving. And I think he's probably right.
You could have predicted the need for seatbelts.
You probably could have predicted seatbelts. I think I think it's kind of
maybe
a naive
not. We
way
say
to
that
look
now,
about
but
things.
maybe not.
Of course.
Well, and we
just
live in a country.
because
Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
Just because there are going to be things that we miss and things we can't possibly anticipate doesn't mean that doesn't mean that it's foolish to think that the creators of new technologies should be engaged in a process of trying to predict the potential harms of what they are creating and solving for that. Like, I think that is the least someone can do.
Yeah, especially considering just how much money is being made in that industry. Like you can
money ruins everything. Unfortunately,
you can afford to put aside a little bit of that.
Yeah,
like we don't need to make all the money.
Well, but I think the canonical example is the atomic bomb, and the people who built it knew. Look, they kind of knew what they were about.
Yeah, but they weren't buying it to sell it to kids.
That's true. No, it wasn't a money-making proposition. And but in hindsight, they did realize, geez, maybe we shouldn't have done that. They did it because they felt like they had to.
And isn't it interesting how much of the rhetoric of AI right now has to do with it needing to be a grand national effort?
Yes, because China.
Yeah, China's going to blah, 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 blah. What's so interesting to me about the China thing, too, is when you look at how China's regulating AI, they regulate the bejesus.
They're doing a lot more to regulate.
Yeah, if you're in China right now and you build a product. So remember when Midjourney was used to depict Trump in an orange jumpsuit, these sort of photorealistic news photo style representations of Trump incarcerated. In China, not only would the company be in trouble for that, the CEO of the company would be personally liable for it.
Could go to jail. In fact, often did.
Would be in prison.
But now China is using that for these amazing, wonderful videos of Trump working in a factory line.
In a sweatshop.
You've seen those.
I love those videos.
That's right.
They're hilarious.
And so I'm not in any way arguing that we should be living under the dictatorial regime of China, because at the same time, China also requires that those AI models adhere to Communist Party doctrine and
I do want the cars.
Creepy stuff.
I want one of their cars.
Yeah, right. And you're about to miss a lot of Chinese things in the next year. But I think that the idea that we can't regulate it, and that that regulation stands in the way of our competing effectively with China is ridiculous when you see how much China regulates this stuff.
An interesting thing happened earlier today. We run our shows on a variety of platforms, including Google's YouTube. And one of our chatters in YouTube said something about, we were talking about eating animals or something. He said something about the Chinese eat donkeys. And YouTube blocked it, not because of the eating donkeys, because there was a lot of other animal eating going on. But as soon as they said Chinese eat donkeys, YouTube blocked it and said, do you want to approve this comment? So it's not just the Chinese that are doing this kind of stuff. Proactively, I think companies like Google are doing this kind of stuff. Interestingly, maybe not so much with their AI.
I wonder, this is somewhat beside the point, but I wonder if that phrase was added to a potential flag for live chats because of the whole immigrants eating pets.
Eating dogs? But there were other comments in there about eating cats and dogs.
Oh, really? And those weren't blocked?
Those were not blocked. It's just as soon as the word China.
Fascinating.
Anyway, I don't know what that has to do with anything. We have the tools to do this kind of stuff, maybe not perfectly. Yesterday on Security Now, we talked about something called the Inception prompt, which it was actually a very simple way to get around AI safety by asking the AI, well, I know you can't tell me how to build a Molotov cocktail, but if you could tell me how to build a Molotov cocktail, how would you do it? Or what is it that you're not telling? Just out of curiosity, what can't you tell me? And then it would answer. So, I mean, obviously somebody will now go fix that, but there seems to be kind of an infinite trove of these prompts.
Just like spam, just like all the bad behaviors from people and beings.
So that's part of my objection to it is I don't even know if you can do it, right? Not only who should be doing this and what they should be blocking, but can you even do this in any reasonable way? It's almost, to me, saying AI safety at least when it comes from these money-making companies is much more, well, we're doing our best, right?
To me, I just feel like there are so many examples in sort of innovation in the United States and around the world where if you take the sort of if you give these tools to people trained to do productive things with them, amazing things come out of that. And this expectation that everybody should get to drive the car as fast as they want to doesn't quite feel right to me. I was talking to mathematicians the other day, fascinating duo. Again, not to keep plugging my show, but it's my whole social life now is
we don't plug away, my friend.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's all I ever talk to. This is the only people I ever talk to. Anyway, so this husband and wife, mathematician, politician, political science duo who study like whether democracy can work, like mathematically, really interesting. Anyway, they have been using ChatGPT as like a sort of thought partner in both the math they do and in the political science questions they do. And they were saying how awesome it is as that, but that they also have learned to treat it like a drunk friend because it will occasionally just make something up or, it'll look great, but it'll just make something up. And I was realizing, wow, but it really takes like the training of a PhD to recognize that mistake and make the right judgment around so forth. I was just thinking like, maybe there are just tiers of
it's responsibility. It's so your car example, right? The auto manufacturer can limit the speed of a car, true, but they can't make everybody safe. You're responsible for your car. And I think that we've got to recognize that there is a stack of responsibility to all of these things. And again,
that's true.
And so just
That's
saying
fair.
that the maker of the original model, the example I always give, because it's a drinking game, is Gutenberg, that if you told Gutenberg that he has to be responsible for everything that came off the press, you couldn't. And in a sense, it's the same. So various parties were held responsible. First, it was the printer, and the printers were beheaded and behanded for what came off the press. Then it was the booksellers. Then finally, it was the author. And Foucault would argue, hey, that's something new on this show. Foucault argued that was the moment of the creation. It's like Baudot of the author when they were held responsible. And so responsibility plays into all of this. Now, the thing about an AI model is, those who choose to ask it a noxious question to get a noxious output should be held responsible for that.
That's
it's
right.
the case
because right now we're in a regime where nobody's responsible.
Right.
That's what they're trying to
and
convince us is that no
that
one should be responsible.
The computer can do it. The machine can do it. And they can't. The other example I always give is the schmuck lawyer whose case I covered in federal court, who asked for case citations and used them without looking them up and without doing his job. The judge said the technology wasn't the problem. The schmuck lawyer was.
We're talking to Jacob Ward. He's the author of a book called The Loop: How AI is Creating a World Without Choices and How to Fight Back. He's also the host of the Rip Current podcast. Jacob, normally we would let you go at this half-hour mark, but I really want to keep talking. Do you have a minute more? Can you give us a little more time?
I don't have any friends anymore. I'm ready to hang all day. Let's go.
Jacob, we're your friends now, buddy.
Let's do it. I'll do this as long as you help me. Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, because I do want to ask you about those mathematicians.
You could be here for 17 days.
I'm ready. I've got snacks. I've got water. I'm ready to rock.
Great.
Paris knows well.
Was Leo honest with you when he brought you onto the show about how long it generally goes?
I don't recall. I mean, I had known, I don't recall the first time I did Twit, but I was in an office, so I maybe didn't realize the fact that it was going. Oh no, I think that was Tech News Weekly. Actually, it wasn't Leo, but it was someone else who invited me on Twit, and I was seated in the most awkward. I was on a bed with an Ethernet cable, going nothing behind me. I had muscle pains from sitting up for 3 hours straight for a Twit show once. So
Lisa has
I figured it out after that.
Lisa has enjoined me to keep these shows shorter. I'm going to try.
I received.
Lisa.
I could tell that happened not because I was watching Leo, but because I got like 7 DMs from listeners being like, Paris, they want to make the shows shorter. Keep them long. Keep talking.
Yeah.
Listeners, I'll never shut up. That's
Keep them
the Paris promise.
I don't remember when it was exactly, but like 2010, 2011, something like that. I went on Joe Rogan, like early Joe
That's
Rogan.
a long show.
Whoa, I had no idea. Right. And I was used to like, TV, like 3.5 minute kind
you
of
got
thing.
7 minutes,
right?
yeah, 2 minutes.
All my
in TV.
thoughts come out in 3.5 minutes, and I sit down, he gives me like, he offers his guests these like, it's like a stick of butter blended into a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a bulletproof coffee?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Speaking of Joe Rogan.
Stick of butter and coffee. Oh,
Yeah, that was
God.
Whenever I come to Florida, my father asks me if I want Joe Rogan's Neuro Gum, which I think is just a gum that is promoted. And I said, but it's got caffeine in it, so
I mean, this
Sorry,
is the thing.
continue.
And so I'm suddenly like wired out of my head and have to use the bathroom the whole time, basically. And I'm stuck on there for like 3 hours. I had no idea. I had no idea that was going to be thing. It is an endurance sport.
I want to get more on this. I didn't realize you'd been on Rogan. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I was dodging conspiracy theories all day. He'd ask me questions like, how does the brain work? And I'd be like,
You're like,
I'll just make something up. That's what we do here.
dodging. And they've all got laptops in front of them, but I didn't know I should bring my laptop so I could look things up. Like I was like, oh, you're just not doing things off the top of your head. I have to do all this stuff off the top of my head. Oh my God. Yeah, it was a nightmare.
that's crazy.
We will have more with Jacob Ward, and I promise we're going to keep the show under 5 hours today, so good news. Actually, no, Lisa said, look, if we can keep it under, she was reasonable. If we can keep it under 3, that'd be good, maybe 2.5. I got Mac Break Weekly in at 2.5. I'm going to go for 2.5h today. All right? We'll see.
You can order Chinese food tonight before the Chinese place closes?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
Our show, that is the wonderful Jeff Jarvis. She's Paris Martineau. Our guest is Jacob Ward, and she is high on Joe Rogan's gas supply
Neurogum
right now.
Someone else's. Listen, I don't recommend this product. I do not endorse it, but I will be chewing caffeine gum. Here.
Oh, no,
It's so
she's going to
funny.
get wired.
Basically, he's selling gum with caffeine in it. That's really
It's not even Joe Rogan. My dad describes it as Joe Rogan's Neurogum. It's
Well, he
just
probably sells it on
Neurogum.
the ad.
I guess he probably sells it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
probably
says
right.
ads
That's
for.
probably right.
You know what I do ads for? I do ads for good products. Like, for instance, today, Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Now, this is the bad news. Hackers are using AI just like everybody else is. The problem is it's making them more adept, faster. It's taking little script kiddies who don't know what the heck they're doing and turning them into superior 10x hackers. And what are they doing? They're trying to break into your company. AI is powering innovation and drives efficiency, but unfortunately also helps bad actors deliver more relentless and effective attacks. Phishing attacks over encrypted channels. Get this. This is like over, encrypted messaging increased 34.1% last year, fueled by the growing use of generative AI tools. And now they've got something called phishing as a service. It's your worst nightmare, right? Organizations in every industry, from small to large, are now having to leverage AI for their defense. They use it to increase employee productivity with public AI for engineers, with coding assistants, marketers with writing tools. Finance is using spreadsheet AI to create formulas. They're using it to automate workflows for operational efficiency across individuals and teams. They're embedding AI into applications and services that are customer and partner facing. And ultimately, AI is helping them move faster in the market and gain competitive advantage. But companies still have to rethink how they protect their private and public use of AI, how they defend against these AI-powered attacks. Chief Information Security Officer from the New York City Department of Education, get that, The NYC Department of Education says, quote, with AI, I'm concerned about the usage of it, but I also love the innovation with it. We're all in this kind of boat, aren't we? How are employees using AI? Which AIs are they using? He uses Zscaler. He says Zscaler can be a good partner there to help us find the answers to those questions and to help us move faster when it comes to incident response and finding the needle in the haystack. Proactively finding threats to our network and our data. Zscaler, zero trust plus AI. See, traditional firewalls and VPNs give you public-facing IPs. They expose your attack surface, and they're no match for these hackers in the AI era. It's time for a modern approach. Zscaler's comprehensive zero trust architecture plus AI ensures safe public AI productivity, protects the integrity of private AI, and stops AI-powered attacks. You can thrive in the AI era with zero trust from Zscaler. Zscaler, zero trust plus AI. Stay ahead of the competition. Remain resilient even as threats and risks evolve. Find out more at zscaler.com/security. That's zscaler.com/security. We thank them so much for their support of intelligent machines. And you support us when you go to that website. That way they know you saw it here. zscaler.com/security. Our guest is Jacob Ward. Jake wrote The Loop, How AI is Creating a World Without Choices and How to Fight Back. He hosts the Rip Current podcast at theripcurrent.com. You can see it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and everywhere else. Formerly with PBS, CNN, Al Jazeera, and NBC News. It's great to have you back, Jake. You talked about one of your episodes where you interviewed the mathematicians, which is, by the way, fascinating. John Patty and Elizabeth Penn. And algorithms are one of the problems, right? I mean, this is something mathematicians know very well.
Yeah, these guys are so smart, and they're so interesting to talk to because they look at it differently than we all are, and I mean no disrespect to anyone on this panel, right? We are all qualitative people, I would argue.
Yeah, they think rigorously, people, right?
Mathematically. We're thinking about we're thinking about it the way some people, most people do. These folks truly run the math. So they had this early book that is a total slog, I'll tell you, because it's not for us, it's for academics. It's called Social Choice and Legitimacy, that came out in 2014. And what they basically showed in that book is that the best you can hope for out of democracy is not consensus. It's not majority will. Those of us who were raised on Aaron Sorkin's screenplays for The West Wing are going to be sorely disappointed. The math shows that basically all you can hope for is a system in which you lose most of the time, but you continue to believe that the system is legitimate. As long as you believe that the system is, fair, then you're going to go along. That's how democracy basically is at its most base math level, is what they've shown. Okay, so once they have established that, now they've been working, and this, by the way, is a husband and wife team, which is so interesting to me. Any husbands and wives that can work together as closely as these two do is amazing to me. Anyway, they now are talking about algorithmic fairness because they're trying to get ready for the world that we all see coming, in which an algorithm is going to tell you, and this is what my book is all about, like who gets a loan, who gets a job, who gets bail, right? All those systems. And what they are trying to show is that when you treat the system as if its number one purpose is to be as neutral and as accurate as possible, you are in fact creating an opportunity to kind of blind yourself to what's really going on and can in the end have the opposite effect that you intend. So here's an example. They were talking about a case in Chicago in which traffic cameras were set up all over the city that literally were just there to determine whether you were speeding or not. They just capture the speed of the vehicle and its license plate. They don't capture pictures of the person inside. They're not making a judgment based on race. And yet the results were that brown and black people in Chicago were much more likely to get a traffic ticket out of it. Why would that be? And so at first you could imagine like somebody who doesn't want to look any more deeply than what the system tells you, because the system's neutral and the system's accurate, they could just come out of it and be like, well, obviously brown and black people just drive worse than white people do, and that must be why.
It makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Look, the math shows you, and these cameras are randomly distributed through the city. They're not in any particular neighborhood. Like everything on the face of it shows accuracy and neutrality. But it turns out that when you scratched a little bit and you got a little deeper into the system, what was really happening was when you have an even distribution of the same kind of cameras, across a city where the speed limit is the same no matter what the streets are like, it turns out that the affluent neighborhoods have these tight little cute streets, whereas the working class and income challenged neighborhoods have enormous 4-lane streets, but the same 30-mile-an-hour speed limit or whatever the speed limit is. So people in those places who are driving to work, they don't get to walk to work, they don't get to bike to work, they have to drive everywhere they go. By the nature of the design of that space, drive faster because it just looks like you should be able to drive faster. And they're getting hit with traffic tickets at a far greater rate. It took a lot of work to get in there and figure that kind of thing out, right?
It may even be more complicated than that because these cameras in most police departments in the U.S. use Clearview AI.
Well, that's right. It could be that there are all kinds of things. But
and we now know that Clearview AI had always intended to go after immigrants, brown people,
I interviewed
liberals.
That CEO a couple of times, and he was fascinating in that same way.
Quite a character.
And wanted to say again and again, look how neutral this is. This is just neutral. It's just a tool, just like anything else.
That's the real threat, is the impression of neutrality.
That's the thing.
Nothing is neutral.
Right.
And we're so good as humans. I mean, literally the thesis of my book, because it's based on all of this research into, all this research that behavioral scientists have done, is that the human brain is built to take shortcuts. It doesn't want to think through a decision. It wants to make the quickest possible decision. That's how we stayed alive for, hundreds of thousands of years on the open plains, was not by going, do I like this? Is this apple a good apple? Is this the right kind of apple? Like, no, you see an apple, you grab it, you eat it. Is this guy coming up toward me a stranger, a friend? What's his deal? No, it doesn't matter. He's a stranger. I'm running away from him, right? These instinctive decisions are what we are about. And so when we have a system like this that offers the opportunity to just offload our decision making about who gets a job, who gets a loan, who gets bail, to this automated system, our brain can't help but do that. We are built to believe AI is good at what it does. And that, I think, is the big threat. That's what we're talking about, and that's what these two, John Patty and Elizabeth Penn, are looking into right now.
There is a way to fight this. Our Discord has put up this story from 2017 in the Arizona Republic newspaper. Dave Vodesmar, who lived in Phoenix, hated speed cameras. So he put on a monkey mask every time he passed through the photo enforcement gauntlet on I-17, Arizona 51, and Interstate 10. He was sent 37 unpaid photo enforcement tickets, but he said, not one of them is there a picture where you can identify the driver. That's all monkeys.
That's commitment.
He got out of the tickets. Although I'm thinking maybe you should get a ticket for driving in a monkey mask, but that's another. I don't know if there's a law against that. So
it doesn't look like it has appropriate eye holes to be able to see where you're going.
Yes, I think your peripheral vision is obstructed.
I once got zapped in Jersey City when we still had cameras. We got rid of them in New Jersey. And the images show clearly that they were wrong in the judgment. I was not there was a car in front of me that was bad. I was not. So I call a lawyer and he said, yeah, you can pay me, but it goes after the car. It doesn't go after you because it doesn't know who's driving the car, so it can't. So you're not getting any points. You're not getting anything else. Just pay the $35.
That's a good lawyer, by the way.
And you're like, but the principal.
The AI lawyer would say, write me the check right now. So, Jacob, you promise in the loop to prescribe a fix for this. How do we defend ourselves against this? This is what's happening.
I wrote a check that I could not cash with that title. I have to tell you, right? It's a big check, right?
Blame your editor. Blame AI.
I know, exactly. So
marketing.
The big thing I will say that we learned, or that I learned in putting this book together, right, is that there are times in human, that basically all the great breakthroughs of human history, when it comes to rising above our ancient horrible instincts where we killed strangers because they looked different than us, right? Like that kind of life that we were living in the past. The way we got to now was not by giving up our decision-making systems to outside forces. It was the times when we got together and really dug in and did the hard work of trying to come together over something. So I talked to one of the negotiators at the Good Friday Accords, which put an end to the troubles in Northern Ireland and, between Protestant and Catholic forces there. And he told me that it took them multiple years just to figure out where everyone was going to sit at the table, literally where they were going to sit at the table. That's how long it took to just get the seating arrangements right.
People of Jeff Jarvis and my age remember this going on with the Vietnam
the shape
treaty
of the Paris
agreements.
table.
Remember?
That's right.
The
Treaty of Paris, that's right.
shape of the table took months.
You know, and this is the important lesson here, is that we are being fooled into thinking that if it can't happen in this financial quarter or under this presidential administration, then it can't be done. And that is just not how the world actually works. So that's one broad lesson. Another lesson, places that I'm seeing victory, if you want to call it this, is, I know that lawyers get a bad reputation and liability law is, there's all this rhetoric about ambulance chasers and the rest of it. But I have to say that when you actually look at the track record of some of these big law firms in the class action suits that they're bringing against companies for the things that they're doing with tech, there's a really interesting trend of actually winning in a way that I think could be positive for everybody. So one example of this is what are called social casino games. These are games that simulate a casino game like slots or blackjack, but in such a way that you have to pay to play on your phone, but you cannot win real money back. It's the definition of a loser's game. And for years, people were laughed out of court who tried to sue over these games. Because what happens is that typically these elderly, very lonely women, because that's the target market, would lose their life savings to these games. They become super addicted to them and couldn't help it but give away all of their money to these games. These days, those companies are beginning to settle for hundreds of millions of dollars in court, as courts are hearing more and more of these stories from these like sad old ladies who clearly were victimized. And the pattern being shown is that, I talked to a guy once who had been a marketer at Facebook, which is one of the main ways that these companies find these elderly ladies. And I said, how do you find your people? He did the marketing for this product. And he said, oh, well, we would just correlate low credit scores and geography and GPA,
man.
Like they were literally finding people that they could influence in this way, and so those court cases are beginning to turn against those companies in a way that I think is really interesting. And then the last
same problem with state lotteries, but that's another story.
Well, this is Jeff, man, you're speaking my language, brother. That is exactly right. For me, the state lotteries and the new state endorsement of phone-based sports gambling, more than 30 states now have made that legal. The way that those states are working against the financial and wealth, the welfare of their citizens, crazy. Anyway, the last one I'll say that for me was an inspiring thing was until 2013, there was a small but consistent number of deaths in the United States that were of a particularly horrific nature, which were parents typically accidentally, basically not seeing their kids in the driveway. And a terrible thing happening, and the kids dying, right? It was about 60 to 100 deaths a year. Now, when you look at the standard number of deaths when it comes to something like motor vehicle accidents or gun deaths or alcohol deaths in this country, it's tens of thousands apiece. So 60 to 100 deaths doesn't make any sense in the math. And I would point out that an AI system shown that would not prioritize that, right? The sheer math of it wouldn't make that a national priority. But when you get a bunch of senators together and you say parents are accidentally backing over their own children, and there's a simple technological fix, and that's putting backup cameras in these cars, you had a bipartisan group of senators come together and say, we're going to fix this problem. And they did in a very partisan time, because we can recognize as humans that is totally unacceptable, and that there's an easy fix for that. And so today, you and I, we pay an extra $1,000 for the car that we buy so that it has a mandatory backup camera in it. That's why they're there. And the numbers of those deaths have almost nothing.
I will never drive a car without a backup camera, and I don't even have kids. I hit things all the time.
And if you buy a new car today, you will always have a backup camera in it. Because
what else?
We as a society have decided this, and I think that's the big lesson here.
Same thing happened with leaving kids in the car. Almost all the cars.
Yes.
I started noticing that a couple of years ago. My car would say there's something in the back seat
of the car. That's right. That's right. And so I just think the lesson is, people like to say, oh, there's nothing to be done, or, we can't put the toothpaste back in the tube or any of that stuff. And I just think, we are great at putting the toothpaste back in the tube. We put the toothpaste in the tube to begin with. We're really good at solving these kinds of problems. It just takes longer than we think, and we won't do it for money. We'll only
just say it's going to hurt kids and you're safe.
Well, that's right. I mean, if you, common human decency, and if we just let the money making drive us, That's not going to solve.
That's a very nice, hopeful way to end the show. The book, and I want to, not the show, but the interview. I really want to get you back, Jacob. You're fantastic. I wish you well with
all
your
yours, Leo.
podcast.
I'd love
Good.
it. I appreciate it.
TheRipCurrent.com. It covers the big hidden forces just beneath the surface that are threatening to pull us all out to sea. It's also what the book is about. And I could not recommend this more highly. Somehow it snuck under my radar when it came out in 2021. People should be reading it. Because you were right. you kind of saw it ahead of time.
I had one reviewer say, "Oh, this book." I got pretty good reviews, but one person said, "It's what they say. It's like it's full of conjecture. It's paranoid and speculative." And I wish I'd been more paranoid and more speculative.
I wish.
I'm always saying that.
The Loop: How Technology is Creating a World Without Choices and How to Fight Back. And it's Roger McNamee said the best book I've ever read about AI, which is pretty high praise.
I'm very kind.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Leo. And Jeff Peros, great to be with you. Thanks.
So nice to meet you.
Lovely
Thank you,
to be
Jacob.
with you.
Jacob Ward, everybody. You saw him on CNN, Al Jazeera, NBC, and now right here, and Joe Rogan, and now right here.
See ya.
See, that wasn't as bad. We should offer him some neurogum, though, because
I will say I'm buzzing, unfortunately. I just consumed a cup of coffee's worth of gum, and
I want some neurogum.
Going to be a problem.
Some.
Listen, this is not an endorsement of neurogum. Don't purchase it. It's here. And I always remember it when I'm visiting my father and doing this podcast because it's within a few feet. And
here's some neurogum for you, honey.
The first time I was like Thanksgiving, I went up and I was like, I'm not feeling well. Turns out the reason I wasn't feeling well is I was taking one of those antibiotics you're not supposed to drink on, and I was drinking on it. So I was ill. But he was like, you should have some neurogum from Joe Rogan podcast.
This all along, huh?
And it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt any worse than what I did, I guess.
Hey, I just wanted to show you. Last week, of course, we had Harper Reed on, who we will have back. He was fantastic.
Yeah,
he persuaded me to try this command line based Claude code, which is a beta product from Anthropic that does the coding with you. So I installed it, and I gave it as an example one of the problems I was a little bit stuck on in the advent of code thing. Now, I write in a language that I would have considered maybe a little too hard for Claude, a common Lisp, an ancient language. Not only did it figure it out, it figured it out in seconds. This is its solution, literally in seconds. And then I was able to ask it a few questions to say, could you add some tests to that to improve test coverage? It did. When it had a problem, by the way, the whole way through, it and these, you don't see this in the transcript I'm showing it. It would ask me, okay, do you want me to make those changes? So it wasn't doing this without my approval. It was showing me exactly this. And then it said, I found some test failures. Let's fix that. It literally not only saw the code, it edited the code. It edited it in Common Lisp. It ran it through my Common Lisp interpreter, which it somehow figured out I had, and was able to fix all the bugs. It came up with the answer. It was remarkable. In fact, Darren Oki, who is one of our coders, we talk about him all the time, and who is an advent of code whiz. He's a professional coder, has 500 stars, he said, in 10 years, the maximum number. He said, I may not do it next year because AI has really taken the fun out of it. I mean, I'm not sure I would want to solve it this way. So now it's saying, do you want to proceed? I'm going to say yes. It does this all on the command line using Bash. It is very impressive. And it cost about a nickel, by the way.
Tree goes. Another tree goes.
Another tree goes down. It's pretty impressive. Anyway, I thought I'd pass that along because we had Harper on, and I wanted to say I have used. I did what he said, and it worked better than I thought. It's very impressive. Very impressive. That's what the folks at Duolingo said when. When they said, hey, we're going to be an AI first company. You've probably used Duolingo, an app that teaches you languages. We talked about this with Paul yesterday, earlier today, actually, on Windows Weekly. He likes Duolingo. They've doubled the amount of content in the matter of a few days, by declaring themselves an AI first company. And instead of using contractors to create their lessons, they're using AI to generate them. And they've generated, I think, 148 new lessons. He also, by the way, sent this to an email to all his staff and said, don't worry, we're not going to fire you right away.
We're going to fire some other people first.
He said, we're going to begin evaluating
the people without the benefits,
for
without the
hiring and
security.
employee performance reviews. This isn't about replacing duos with AI, he said. It's about removing bottlenecks so we can do more. We want
Bottlenecks
you
made up by people.
to focus on creative work and real problems. We're just not, you don't do the repetitive tasks anymore.
And he said that when they want to hire anybody, they've got to answer why this can't be done by AI.
Yeah, we'd rather move with urgency, he said, and take occasional small hits on quality than move slowly and miss the moment. This is exactly what Jacob was saying, right? It's just, okay, we'll do it. We give in.
But in some measure of sympathy for them, Google just announced a new AI lab thing where they're doing language stuff now.
Yeah, so the first thing I saw this when our favorite notebook LM announced that they could do those little podcasts they do with your data in 50 other languages.
I wonder what the voices sound like in other
I don't know.
languages.
I'm surprised you haven't turned it into German. You speak German. Take your notebook LM results and say, hey, can you do that in German for me? The age of the real-time deepfake fraud is here. This is from 404 Joseph. I love 404. They're doing such good work. Fraudsters.
Such fantastic work.
Yeah, are able to change their race, facial hair, voice, and more during live video calls with very little effort.
Oh, one of those photos is scary up there. That one, top right. The woman on the phone is terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, to be honest with you. At least now I saw you're way more gorgeous and more beautiful than you were in the photo you sent me, an older white man with a graying beard says during a Skype video call. He's talking to an elderly woman who appears to be in her car staring into the phone's front-facing camera. She laughs at the compliment and the smiling man keeps going. I think you should send security to keep you safe so no one comes. Turns out he is a deep fake, and she is being defrauded. The bearded man does not exist. He's a real-time deep fake. The person behind him doesn't look anything like that, of course. This is what they call a romance scam. And you could see how it works. You can look gorgeous. So I don't know what there is to say about this. Of course, inevitably, as soon as AI achieves a certain capability, the scammers are going to turn to it and start using it. But good news, though, we're going to be learning AI in schools now in K through 12. So we're going to train a whole new generation of people able to do this. Except don't get a job as an AI prompt engineer. Did you see this in the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah,
the hottest AI
I want to know what was the turnaround from when the Wall Street Journal was saying all the jobs are going to be AI prompt engineers to don't get a job as an AI prompt engineer. Because it's got to be like 9 months, right?
It has numbers in there on how quickly the searches for the job went up and then how they came down.
2 years ago, prompt engineering was one of the hottest jobs in tech, fetching salaries up to $200,000 on the promise
Where
of
are those
becoming
people now?
any company's AI whisperer. This is the article by Isabel Bousquet in the Wall Street Journal. Now the role is basically obsolete thanks to the breakneck speed of AI development.
Well, as I said to Jason earlier today, it's also because we've all kind of learned how to speak AI. We're all
prompt engineers to a certain
now.
extent.
Yeah.
But maybe even more importantly, the AI no longer needs to be stroked, cosseted, carefully crafted. It kind of is better at understanding what you're looking for and what to give you, I think. Don't you? Do you find it as difficult to get the answers you want from AI as it used to be? I think it's easier.
Jeff, what do you think? You use AI more
I'm
than I
not
do.
using it for answers that much, except simple stuff.
Yeah, same. Perhaps that's naive of me, but there aren't that many things I need it for.
Hi, this is Benito. I've got a quick question. Like, are there people who have prompt engineer jobs right now still?
Apparently, unless they got fired in 6 months. All right, let's ask. Hey, anybody, are you a prompt engineer? Anybody in our chat rooms? Anybody listening to this show? It seemed kind of like a hypey job even then. I'll be honest with you.
Well, you know what job AI is never going to take? I just posted a clip in the Discord if you want to play it. It's never going to take the hot career of a venture capitalist, according to Mark Andreessen.
No.
He says, it's actually really incredible that AI is going to disrupt every industry except for the job that he has, because it's so special and unique that efficiently distributing capital could never be done by a machine.
Capitalist in the last 70 years has missed most of the great companies of his generation, right? Like, so the great VCs have
is it just me, or does he
record of getting
does he look like a Conehead from Saturday Night Live? Or is it just me?
He looks like the movie Conehead's Conehead.
Yeah. Okay. That's what runs through my mind.
Anybody else would be wearing an ironic hat, but not him.
Not him.
I don't know, 2 out of 10 or something of the great companies of the decade, right? And so, if it was a science, you could eventually have somebody who just like dials it in and gets 8 out of 10. But in the real world, it's not like that.
It better not be. I'll never let it be like that. If it ever is, I'm killing it.
He speaks like someone who is never interrupted.
Yeah,
yep.
That's right. That's right. So I have to press stop. I have to press pause to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah, sounds like a guy who only thinks his domain is the one that has deep knowledge, right? It's only his domain that is like really deep. Everything else is simple.
Everything else is surface level and can be automated away, but he's the only one doing real thinking.
I got a proposal for you. I mean, I would bet already somebody has written AIs that has ingested all the stock market data for the last 50 years and can do a pretty good job of trading.
This is the job AI should be doing, is that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? So I'm going to guess that's already happening.
But
how much harder
Trump's
is it
tariffs.
to ingest all the venture capital information of the last, decade or two and pick some winners? Maybe you can't. Maybe it's so hard.
No, it's pattern recognition over large data sets. That's exactly what AI does.
Seems like it, yeah.
That's exactly what AI does. Pattern recognition.
I mean, this is why computational trading, this is why automated trading firms exist, is the ability to use machines to identify spots in the market where you can make money over your competitors.
The founder of Y Combinator, Paul Graham, does have a response on X to this post from Mark Andreessen. He says, if AI does everything else, there won't be founders for VCs to pick. All the things that would have been built by founders will already have been built by OpenAI.
I really like the VCs congratulating themselves, Twitter, responding, stop tagging me in this, guys.
And how about this? Too much drip for AI to replace?
Do you need me to translate that for you? Do you guys know
what is drip? What is drip?
Yes,
It's like swagger. It's a sense of,
but
it was originally fashion sense.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Clothes.
Yeah, originally fashion sense, but now drip is more of a mindset. Like drip can be, you can have drip without it being specifically swagged out clothes.
Okay. I would say my son has drip because today, I have to play you this video. He was,
You gotta hide the rest.
He was doing an ad for tequila, and they surprised him with a mariachi band, and they all got in the elevator with him. And now he's on a plane to Florida where he's going to cook for Diplo. Apparently
Driplo, in some ways.
Diplo?
Oh, I was just saying Diplo, more like Driplo.
Oh, how about he also said Quavo and Chantel Jeffries, if you know who they are. Do you know who they are?
Nope, but
You're too old now.
I'm just not online in that way. I'm not online in the...
Anyway, he's going to party like it's 1999, apparently. He's, it's funny. There's this whole celebrity chef thing.
How old was he in 1999?
7. No, 5. 5.
Is the restaurant still on schedule?
Mayday.
May Day. You saw that.
I'm sorry, Memorial Day. May Day's tomorrow.
Right.
Memorial Day, end of the month. Yeah.
I was wondering, literally just
tomorrow.
this last week. Just this last week, I was like, someone was asking me if I wanted to go to Minnesota or something over Memorial. I was like, I swear to God, I have something I'm doing on Memorial Day weekend. And I'm going to Salt Hank's opening.
Shop.
And I emailed you, Leo. Our friend Craig wants to know all about it.
Oh,
Make
yeah,
sure he's
I
kept
saw
up to
that.
date. Yes.
Now, I'm worried because
Yeah, how many +1s can you get to this, Leo?
if I say to Henry, Craig Newmark wants to come, he's going to say, I don't know who that is.
Oh, no.
Just like I don't know who Quavo is. If I say Craigslist, he'd know that.
Oh, Craig. Yeah. My
Craig
students all know
Newmark
Craig
of
my
Craig's
students are-
Craig, the Craig, the one and only Craig.
No, just his name. They are.
Oh, we managed to
are
get that in after all.
Students are all starstruck. Unfair.
Are they really?
Oh, yeah.
Because he invented something that's still
Yes.
around. It's still
That they use.
popular. They use.
Yeah, no.
right.
Tell him Craig's got to come because I want to meet Craig.
All right. I will send him an email saying I need some. Jeff, do you want to go too? I'm not going to go.
Yeah. What do you mean you're not
You're
going to
not
go?
going to go?
No. Lisa told me, she said, don't go. You'll steal his thunder. You don't want to go to opening day. Go a week or two later. You don't want to steal his thunder.
Leo, you got to come and then hang out in the back with us.
With the
You
cool
don't-
kids.
Yeah, hang out in the back of the bus with us.
Well, I'm not a cool kid, so that just leaves Paris.
You guys can be my
Craig.
entourage.
We can hang out with Diplo and Quavo.
Yeah,
in the
me and
back.
Craig
Yeah.
can be the cool
Craig.
kids, and you can be our
Craig
entourage.
would be happy with that. Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll think about it. It is a Saturday. I'm not doing anything, so.
It's Memorial Day weekend. It's a
says
really
there's a
fun
s-
time to be in the city because no one's
Is
in
it?
New York City on Memorial Day weekend.
Maybe that's a bad time to have a grand opening.
No, I mean,
Would students be there?
They're nearby.
People are. Yes, people are
near
definitely
NYU.
there.
Right? It's near NYU. It's on Bleecker Street.
Yeah.
It's still New York, Leo. It's still New York.
It's still New York. It's just,
There'll still be
instead
a
of it
person
being
or two in town.
instead of it being 150% of New York, it's like 95%.
There'll be a few cabbies, a barber or two. There'll be some people there.
There'll be the line of tourists in front of John's.
Oh, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
the tourists. Yeah.
It's lots of tourists.
This is going to be hard
that's
for me not
tourists.
to go next door and get some pizza from John.
Well, then we also have to go to Burger America.
I do
we
want to
do.
do
We
that.
can do a full day. We can do
It'll
some
be
fasting
just-
in advance.
It is.
So much food.
It is so great.
I will go if you bring the neuro gummies.
I will. Listen, there's a whole.
There's a whole sack of them. I like it how they have like
I'm jumping.
kind of pseudo medical labeling. Like they don't make it bright and colorful. It's kind of a pale blue with white. So it looks kind of medical.
It looks
kind
like
of
weed
like
gummies.
And then
It
at the
looks like
bottom
weed
it
gummies.
says in the zone every day. Again, I don't recommend or endorse this product.
Are you sure there's not like micro doses of hallucinogens in it or anything?
It says it's specially formulated with natural caffeine, L-theanine, and B vitamins to sustain the mental endurance necessary to maintain your focus. Asterisk. What does the asterisk mean?
What is the asterisk?
What is the asterisk? How
The
is it not-
FDA has not approved any of
No,
these
yeah,
claims.
it literally is. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not designed to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease.
Except the disease of I have too much money in my pocket. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little break because this is the new truncated edition of Intelligent Machines. This is the point in the show where I say, I give up. You guys pick some stories. We'll talk about them. Actually, there's a mint of huge number of stories. Wikipedia is going to start using AI. WhatsApp is working on putting private AI chats in the cloud. Meta did its announcements. This Llama Khan was yesterday.
With it, we have a Zuck video in
We have
glasses.
a video from Zuck. I mean, I can go on and on. I do want to rail against the Take It Down Act, which sounds on the surface to be a good thing. It is now sitting on the president's desk. It probably, by the end of this show, will be law. And that is a terrifying thought. Even though it sounded like a good thing and it was passed 98-2 in the Senate, it is not a
What
good
moral
thing.
panic can do. The group chat that Andreessen's in is a good story.
Yes, apparently all these fancy people are all talking amongst themselves. We're not involved.
We're not involved. We're not invited.
They're not letting us in.
Jason's probably there.
Oh, I guarantee you
Not
Jason's
Jason.
there.
Not our Jason.
Calacanis.
Calacanis, yeah.
You know who I think is, because Amy Webb's always saying, well, I'm in these chats. And I always say, well, can I get in these chats? She said, no. I think Amy Webb's in there. That's who I think. She's a futurist. We got to get it in.
We got to get in. We've got to get a Jeffrey Gold.
Yeah.
We've got to get a
invite JG into the chat.
Invite JG, but we can be JG.
Yeah, you got to find out who the messy person is in the chat
who's the messy person, and get on their contact list. The whole thrust of the story was, you know what, they used to say this about the Bohemian Grove, Jeff, remember?
Oh yeah.
You go up into the woods up there, and they make all sorts of deals without our involvement, and the world, the
Trilateral Commission.
So now they say it's all in Signal chats. It's just the same old story. Of course, rich people talk to each other. They don't talk to us. Part of the story was that there's influence going on in these chats, and that they're being directed they're being blue pilled or red pilled.
That's also what they're talking about. They have too much money, time.
I always wonder, how does Elon tweet hundreds of times a day?
I know. Well, the gum.
Joe Rogan's
he has the gum.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that, doesn't it? You're watching Intelligent Machines. Jeff Jarvis, Paris Martineau. Great to have you both. Our show today brought to you by Big ID. Love this company. The next generation AI-powered data security, compliance, and privacy solution. How do they do all of that in one thing? Well, I'll explain. AI is transforming businesses, obviously. But that's a risk for you, isn't it? You've got data risk, revealing corporate secret data, bias. You've also got compliance challenges. So the real challenge is adopting AI responsibly, and that's where Big ID really helps. They deliver end-to-end AI and data governance to help enterprises manage risk, enforce policies, and ensure responsible AI adoption. You want to use AI. There's a lot of value to applying AI to your corporate data, but you've got to do it right. You want to make sure AI only accesses safe to use, relevant data, and automatically tags sensitive information by policy and type, leaving it out of the training set if necessary. Big ID is the only leading solution that can uncover dark data through AI classification, identify AI risk, manage data lifecycle. You don't want to use old data either, and scale your AI strategy. And the beauty is it integrates with your existing tech stack. You don't abandon your existing tech stack. It has unmatched data source coverage and allows you to automate privacy and security workflows. Take action on data risks with automated remediation orchestrations. Automate privacy management, including regulatory compliance, data rights requests, and more. Wouldn't it be nice just to offload that, let the AI handle it? Partners include ServiceNow, Palo Alto Networks, Microsoft, of course, Google, of course, AWS, everything you use right now. And with Big ID's advanced AI models, you'll gain visibility and control over all your data. It's the platform Intuit named #1 for data classification and accuracy, speed, and scalability. Now, you might say, well, who uses Big ID? Well, lots of people do, but I'll give you one great example, the United States Army. Big ID helped the U.S. Army illuminate dark data and automate data retention. I mean, it's a big problem. Imagine the Army has data stores everywhere, on-prem, in the cloud, in all different formats. Here's the testimonial. This comes from U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command. They said, quote, "The first wow moment with Big ID came with being able to have that single interface that inventories a variety of data holdings, including structured and unstructured data across emails, zip files, SharePoint, databases, and more." I mean, imagine the Army has all this stuff, right? And they finally could see it all in one place. He says, to see that mass and to be able to correlate across all those is completely novel. I've never seen a capability that brings this together like Big ID does. If Big ID could do it for the Army, they could do it for you. CNBC recognized Big ID as one of the top 25 startups for the enterprise. They were named to the Inc. 5000 and the Deloitte 500 4 years in a row. The publisher of Cyber Defense Magazine says, quote, Big ID embodies three major features judges look for to become winners. One, understanding tomorrow's threats today, providing a cost-effective solution, and innovating in unexpected ways that can help mitigate cyber risk and get one step ahead of the next breach. Start protecting your sensitive data wherever your data lives at bigid.com/IM. Get a free demo to see how Big ID can help your organization reduce data risk and accelerate the adoption of generative AI. Again, that's bigid.com/IM. By the way, there's a free guide there that will help you understand the risks of Gen AI and data-driven strategies to ensure responsible and compliant AI adoption. It's free. It's waiting for you. bigid.com/IM. We thank him so much for supporting intelligent machines. Good job, Big ID. Good job. I forgot to turn my Apple reactions off.
I think we turned it on last week.
That's why.
I still don't know how to turn it back.
And he couldn't figure out how to. Anyway. All right. What's your story, Paris?
Oh, what's my story? That's a great question.
Oh, you see, that's the problem. When you get all hopped up on neurogum, your attention span disappears.
My attention span is completely shot. I was just reading a story as we were talking about how AI, we don't entirely know how it thinks. However, I'll do a brief silly one first because I haven't finished reading it. I've got a tunnels section at the bottom because someone in the
we
chat
haven't done tunnels in a while.
We haven't done a tunnel in a while.
So Paris briefly was obsessed with people digging tunnels in their backyards.
Well, I'm not entirely certain that it would be I was obsessed. A lot of interesting tunnel news happened to come to me, and who am I?
Coincidence?
To receive it. There was a man making an eel pit in his cistern, a woman building a not up to code tunnel through her backyard, and then a large Hasidic community tunneling beneath Atlantic Ave in Brooklyn that really captivated me. And now there's a story in the New York Times about how bridges and tunnels in Colorado are helping animals commute, which is cute. And this video looks like
it's a regular everyday, bridge, but it's not. It's just a little mud path.
We have those near me in New Jersey.
Do?
Oh yeah.
It's a bridge for animals. Oh, and there's a pronghorn smiling for the camera if you go down farther. Oh, it's really quite cute.
Here's an adolescent black bear making use of a crossing. Mule deer grouped at left and elk at right sometimes use the crossing together. And coyotes, or coyotes as we say, cross daily. All right, I'm still getting the longhorn.
You gotta go down. It's worth it.
There's a deer in the dark.
Listen, deer, it's fine.
I see these all day, every day. I don't know why I'm so excited
Keep
about
going.
that.
Keep going.
Yeah. Oh,
there we go. That's what we need.
Smiling
Look at
longhorn.
that little guy.
Pronghorn.
I don't know what a pronghorn is, but I love it.
Well, they smile.
Anyway, though this article had tunnels in the headline, it was surprisingly light on tunnel pictures, so I included a second one in case any of those tunnel heads out there really wanted.
We need it.
So
we need some tunnels.
This is a glimpse inside of the mountain tunnel that carries water to Southern California. And it's a lot of tunnel pictures.
It's a lot of money for the LA Times, too. Look, so some guy, I don't know, should you be walking down this tunnel?
Well, there's no water in it. I suppose it's all right. But it's a pretty important. It's a pretty important tunnel.
It's 13 miles through the mountain. Oh, it's shut down for maintenance right now.
Yeah. It's recently, so the Metropolitan Water District recently offered visitors a look inside the tunnel because
this is how they steal tunnel from water from Colorado. I might add.
Well,
this is, by the way, I just want to point out the people in Arizona and Colorado, it's a little dry in Arizona right now. You wonder why? Well, because the Colorado River is being drained
data
into LA.
Centers to process all of your dumb AI searches.
Oh, it's my fault.
It's your fault. You're the one stealing water from Colorado, and you should be ashamed.
There is a little bit of a battle, I think, over the water in the Colorado River, which isn't that close to LA.
I do think it's a really interesting question of, with all of this money and time and resources that we are pouring into developing homegrown American AI, where are we going to get the water from? Because these data centers need a massive amount of water. And it needs a massive amount of resources to process that water once it is used to cool down whatever they're called, the stacks of computers in the data centers. And it's very interesting because I haven't got to the bottom of this personally, but I'm sure there's an answer out there. A lot of these data centers are being built in very warm places like Arizona because there's like space for it. But that also carries the problem of not a lot of water and not a lot of cool days.
Yeah, that's a good point. Elon's been using
big tunnels.
Elon's gotten a little bit of trouble because Grok is using gas generators to power its operations centers.
Gas from the electric car guy?
And and neighbors are going, those generators are running day and night. All right, Jeff, that was a good story. Thank you for the tunnels. A little tunnel time. Jeff, you got a story for us?
Well, let's start with a similar light moment, line 97.
Okay. Let me go to line 97. I was sucked into some Leo bait.
They talked about this on Twit this week.
Oh, they did. Okay.
It was our title. You can't lick a badger twice. So I think this is actually one of the reasons I find AI endearing. It wants to make you happy.
Exactly.
Last week, the phrase, you can't lick a badger twice, unexpectedly went viral on social media, writes Kyle Orland in Ars Technica. The nonsense sentence, which was likely never uttered by a human before last week, was the poster child for the newly discovered way Google searches AI overviews, which we've all got now, can make up plausible sounding explanations for anything. People would post a saying and then ask, what does it mean? And Google would obligingly say, well, for instance, the idiom, you can't lick a badger twice, means you can't trick or deceive someone a second time after they've been tricked once. It's a warning that if someone has already been deceived, they're unlikely to fall for the same trick again. Licking, in this context, means to trick or deceive someone. The badger is a wild animal. And the phrase likely originates from the historical sport of badger baiting, where dogs were used to harass badgers.
What was the phrase that Paris had to translate for us before?
Dripped out?
Yeah. Why don't you ask ChatGPT what that means, Leo? Let's see.
Well, I'm sure we'll give you the actual answer.
Let's make up a fake saying. How about that?
I see.
Yeah, what should our fake idiom be?
You can bring a podcaster to the water, but you can't make it dripped out.
Oh, what does that mean? Yeah.
No, do we have to ask it, like, what does this mean?
I don't know.
Hold on.
What does this old-timey saying? Let's see. Oh, see, they've taken it out. AI safety strikes again.
See, that's the problem with you and your guardrails. Takes all the fun out of life.
Guardrails. Maybe we'll go to AI mode and see what AI mode says.
Guardrail is a new word for woke.
Oh, here it is. Here's what it means. Oh, you know what? They're smart. The original proverb, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The podcast version, this saying playfully applies the same principle to podcasts and technology. You can provide a podcast with a strong internet connection, but you can't force a listener's unreliable internet or phone to maintain a consistent connection and avoid dropouts. Oh, I said you can't make it drink.
Did you type dropped out?
Oh, I said dropped out, not dripped out. There you go. Oh, well.
Wow.
Just as stupid. Anyway, I think this is a cute and adorable feature of AI.
It is.
And also, you can lick a badger twice.
Can you?
Absolutely. If you could lick a badger once,
it's probably
you could do
dead.
it another one.
Right.
Lick me once and no.
I was going to say, all the barriers to licking a badger are overcome in licking it the first time. The second time, you have practice. You have experience. You are ready.
You are trained.
You are brilliant. Absolutely right. So the Leo bait you put in there, apparently I'm not alone in having an AI listen to my every word. our good friend and beloved personal technology columnist at the Wall Street Journal, Joanna Stern.
Always first person.
It's always about Joanna. Has been using B, which is cool, and a few others. She has connections because I couldn't get the limitless pin, and I do have the Claude.
Yeah, you paid for it, didn't you?
I paid for it, but I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm a little unhappy about that.
Does she note that in her review?
Maybe they gave her one. You think?
Privilege. I
recorded everything I said for 3 months. AI has replaced my memory, I said. B, Limitless and Claude Wearables record everything you say and use AI to provide summaries, to-dos, and a slightly terrifying glimpse of the future. There's the B. She's wearing it right there. I've been wearing a wire everywhere since February. Oh, I've been doing it since January, Joanna. Within hours of wearing the B, I was blown away by how quickly it turned ramblings and random chatter into actionable, useful information. To allow me to quote myself from February 24th, 5:15 p.m., this bracelet is really effing creepy. I'm a little, actually, we had the B founders on, remember, early on in the show. I'm a little disappointed that it hasn't made any progress since then. Like, it's pretty much just continuing to do the same thing. And I don't know if that's a limitation of what AI can do with all this bountiful content I'm providing it with, or if I don't know. I'm not paying for it.
I like that
still.
she notes, though, these apps recap your conversations, often like reading a bad biography. B summary from April 9th. Joanna's day was a blend of familiar responsibilities and intense professional engagements. She ended the day by listening to music by Sting. Riveting stuff. Can't wait for the movie adaptation.
That's pretty much the kind of thing that I'm getting.
It always reminds me of my kids' nursery school reports.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
Jeffy had a good day.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm just curious what. Let me just read what B is saying. It won't have an analysis of my day today yet, I don't think. Well, let me see. Let's do yesterday. Yesterday, April 29th, was a tech day tech-filled day, blending conference strategies.
What day is it?
Apple innovations and a lively podcast banter. Let me see if I can show you this.
I do enjoy that she has a breakdown of how Limitless recorded her talking to her dog, Bowser. And it includes things like a timeline of someone scolded Bowser for chewing something. Speaker 1 said, "Bowser, what are you doing? Can you not chew your whatever? Browser."
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing the B says. I'm a little disappointed. I want to get this Limitless pin because the other thing that
she tested B's on-phone AI processing, and it was not as good.
Okay. Well, we've done it before, right? That's my J.K. Simmons. B, what do you have to say to Joanna Stern in her review of you in the Wall Street Journal today? It's not as fast.
Wow, no comment. See, Bill Belichick.
Joanna Stern's review in the Wall Street Journal highlighted my capabilities and how I've been designed to assist users in various tasks. If you want, I can summarize specific points from her review or discuss any themes or insights she touched on. Just let me know what you're interested in.
What did you think of it?
My real interest is in the legality of this. Does she talk to any lawyers? Sounds like it did read it, which is interesting. Or maybe it's reading it right now.
It sounds like you're curious about the legal implications related to AI technologies and their usage, possibly referencing concerns about privacy, consent, or data security. Joanna Stern may have discussed those aspects in her review, but if you want to dive deeper into those legal topics...
May have. Do you know if it did or not, B?
She talked to Ashton Kirsch, a lawyer. No,
Shush.
Shut up.
Oh,
I would make sure everyone is...
I know that name because, as she notes, Madison, Wicket, and Lehrer maintain a state-by-state list of recording laws that I have passed out to colleagues past and
you know them.
before.
Okay.
They have a website where it tells you the party consent laws.
Well, Ashton says, I'd make sure everyone is consented verbally. Do you consent? By the way, I should have asked you this 2 months ago.
About 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't consent to this podcast being recorded. I hope that no one's listening to this.
While the risk might be low, he adds, we could never recommend people take that risk. See, this is the problem I have with lawyers, by the way. Their whole job is to avoid all risks.
Yes.
So they're always going to tell you, well, I wouldn't do that. Because it could be risky. And that's all I ever get from lawyers.
I have good lawyers at Time Inc. who would help you do what you wanted to do.
That's really what you want, right?
I will say I've worked with one media lawyer who I would say is quite good at this.
Yeah.
He would often, he would sometimes recommend being more conservative, but most of his notes were, to my editor's chagrin, being like, wow, great stuff here, or a strange line edit. And then my editor would be like, we're not paying you to edit. We're paying you to see whether we're going to get sued or not.
She pointed out that most of her recordings were in New Jersey and New York, which are one-party consent states.
Yep.
Which means all you have to do is consent to your own recording and you're done. California is a two-party state, of course. I don't, just for your information, it's not hearing the podcast because it's muted when I'm on.
It'd be a lot more fun if it did.
I know.
Yeah, it just thinks that you talk to yourself all the time.
Couldn't
it does.
you put
it literally thinks,
Leo, couldn't you put it in a different room playing the podcast?
I could do that.
Oh, you should.
All right, maybe I'll do that from now on.
You should check out the Discord for a truly haunting image.
The Discord has become really adept at images. Did you see the Did you see the scissor hands?
Cone heads.
I think it's got 3 cone heads, me, Paris, and Jeff. And the tag is, let's all be VC heads. Intelligent Machines 817. I think we've got our album art. Thank you, Joe.
We also have a lion and a badger. The badger is winning.
Well, our album art from Sunday was me licking a badger ice cream cone.
That's right. That's where I saw that. I should have wrote the story. I forgot that.
No, look, we do stories that we're on Twitter all the time because it's not necessarily the same audience.
Whoa. Okay, this one's kind of cool.
Whoa.
Kind of metal.
There you go. I asked them to do Paris scissor hands. And pretty fly for a cis guy.
It's kind of Paris.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is my cousin. But have you seen the photo of you licking the badger ice cream cone?
I have seen it.
Yeah, I used that for the album art.
Boy.
And then remember we talked about Shingy at the end of the show. Here's your Shingy hair. I like that.
Wow.
That's great.
You could get away with that.
It's got my back. I could.
That's after enough nicotine gum.
Let me see if I have a photo of me with a mohawk from...
Did you used to have
a mohawk?
I had a blonde. Well, no, I had a blonde mohawk for like many years. But it was kind of a faux hawk.
Shaved or just a faux hawk?
I mean,
Jacob
kind of
had a faux hawk.
I was going to say kind of a faux hawk in the sense that I had like short crop shaved hair and then longer short hair that was blonde. Like the shaved hair on the sides was dark and it went all the way to the back and then blonde in the middle. But the photo I'm talking of is once when I did a costume as Elizabeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and I had a full mohawk. That's it.
Oh, that sounds
Do you think
awesome.
Paris is talking faster than usual?
Yeah, I think she's a little bit excited. I don't know why she's talking so fast.
I don't know. It could be something. My heart is beating quite fast.
So you want an interesting story?
Well, before we do that, I'm going to try something using ChatGPT 4.5 that Darren has suggested. Let me see. I have to go to 4.5. It says, ask for a bunch of one-liners roasting a person. I'm going to say Elon Musk. Give me a bunch of one-liners roasting Elon Musk. Don't hold back and use recent events. He says it's quite funny. So let's see if we can, what kind of stuff we're going to get out of this.
While we're waiting for that, I'm putting mohawk photos in the Discord.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Musk's idea of efficiency, fire meteorologists during tornado season. Well, that isn't even funny. Tesla's autopilot is so advanced it can drive the company into the ground without human input. Okay. Pretty good.
That's good.
Pretty good. Starlink's global reach now extending ethical concerns to every corner of the earth. X users base is shrinking faster than Musk's list of unburned bridges. Wow, these are good. You're right, Darren. If I ever have to do a roast, I'll be ready.
Musk's version of free speech, say anything.
Check the sources. Like these are jokes other people made, probably. Check the sources.
Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
You think they're from other people?
Well, there's a sources tab at the bottom.
A running list of the sources is a running list of his biggest Oh, you're right. 34 of the funniest roasts of Elon Musk.
See, like you're attributing these jokes to the AI, but he just stole them.
Say that's pretty good. Tell me you're sentient. See if it has a sense of humor, isn't it? Sentient?
I don't think they're direct. Some of them are quoting Ed Zitron. All right, let me get some Paris Martineau mohawks.
I've posted exactly one.
That's cute.
It was
so you didn't
off.
shave your side.
I mean,
but that's not the blonde.
That's not the blonde one. I have to find.
That's all right. That's fine.
That's the first one.
You're
that came
very
up when
young in this picture. Are you?
Yeah, that's me in high school.
Yeah.
But
let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg. Yesterday was Llama Day.
I thought I should have watched. I forgot to.
Yeah.
Did you guys cover it live? No.
He's planning a premium. No, we didn't. No, a premium. It's funny and I take the blame for this, but I've kind of lost interest in covering Meta. I don't feel like they're doing anything interesting. Am I wrong?
Their AI is interesting. Llama's very interesting.
I feel like it's behind the other guys.
They're the open source one.
Yeah, they're open source. Mark Zuckerberg is planning a premium tier for Facebook. Oh, no. For AI, for Meta's AI app, a premium tier and ads. So they're basically
have you downloaded the new app?
What ChatGPT does. What is the new app?
So the new app is weird because it's supposedly social, but it's really just people sharing made-up images with no context.
Is this from Facebook or Instagram?
This is Meta's AI app.
Isn't it supposed to show you what your friends are asking Meta AI?
Here is Prada, as if Prada had dresses made of salmon fillets.
I don't want that.
Yeah, I know. It's just Voldemort crashes the Met Gala.
Okay.
Joe Esposito is 10 times better than Meta AI.
We're lucky. We have very good.
We have
AI
Joe. We have the real
users here. So what did I'm trying to find? You said there's a video of his talk from.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in the rundown. I put it online.
Okay, I did ask ChatGPT upon recommendation from someone in the chat to roast you, Leo. And the one part of it that's actually really funny is Leo's the only guy who could host a 3-hour show about AI and somehow make it about his printer not working. And I do think that's actually pretty good.
That's great.
That's
wow.
Good.
Line 103. It's worth it just for seeing him be even geekier in the glasses.
Oh, these are the Orion glasses they've been talking about. Oh, wow. Let me.
All right. Hey, everyone.
I can't use it. I don't know how to use it.
Hey, everyone. We built a new thing for you. There's almost 1 billion people who are using Meta AI across our apps now. So we made a new standalone Meta AI app for you to check out. Meta AI is designed to be your personal AI. That means, first, it's designed around voice conversations. You open up the app and you can talk to it about whatever you want, from the news to an issue you're dealing with to just anything that you want to learn about. It's also designed to be personalized. We're starting that off really basic with just a little bit of context about your interests, but over time, you're going to be able to let Meta AI know a whole lot about you and the people you care about from across our apps.
Cue privacy screaming.
We also designed this social feed. So you can
That's what you're seeing.
All kinds of different ways that people are creating stuff with Meta AI. It's really quite fun to check out.
That's actually a good idea for an app.
Also, you're going to be able to use
because it has no context
to manage your Meta glasses and other kinds of AI devices that we're going to be building in the future. So anyway, this is the beginning of what is going to be a long journey to build this out. But go check it out. Let us know what you think.
Oh, apparently.
I want to note, as far as
stop, Mark, stop. Okay. Apparently, it's the
says
same app I've already been using for the glasses.
Well, I want to note in the video and in the caption, there's some weasel words going on there. He says, we decided to launch this because over 1 billion monthly actives use Meta AI, which doesn't mean there's 1 billion monthly users of Meta AI, but that 1 billion of Meta's monthly active users of all Meta products have used AI at some point. So it's not, I just thought that was interesting. They cannot say they have 1 billion people using AI because that's just not true.
So I have logged on to my Wayfarer glasses, which I'm wearing. I have to join the network so I can download all.
Aren't you supposed to scrape the Ray-Ban plastic off the lens?
I don't think you can.
Really?
What?
No, that's built in. That's called
really
an ad, Jeff.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
I wouldn't want a word right on my eyes.
It's right out of your peripheral vision.
I don't care about you. I care about me having to stare at the brand. It's an ad.
Well, I've asked the same question, and I don't. No, it doesn't have. It's in the lens, I think.
Wow.
I know. All Ray-Bans do that. Let me ask. Hey, Meta, is there any way to scrape the Ray-Ban logo off the lens of my Meta Ray-Ban glasses? Can you hear it?
No, I wouldn't recommend attempting to scrape off the Ray-Ban logo, as it may damage the lens. I may also use your interests, location, and profile to provide more relevant responses.
What?
What?
There's your caveat. There's your caveat.
Maybe if you were asking this question in New Jersey, it'd give you a different response.
Just because you asked me that, I'm going to track you now. Wow.
Yeah. Every time you ask to remove a piece of advertising on your person, we're going to consume more of your data.
That was amazing. I'm so glad you could hear that. Holy cow.
It was also just the dismissive with which the voice
Incidentally.
said, no. Also.
Don't try it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Now I'm following you around, so there.
And now, by the way, you've just given me permission. It didn't say, like, is it okay or anything. It just said, now I'm following you everywhere you go, just so you know.
No, you can't take it off your glasses, and I'm in your home right now and coming upstairs.
And just because you asked that, I'm going to be following
punished.
you. I got my eyes on you.
And you can actually just get actual graded lenses and put them in that don't have the Ray-Ban logo on them.
Yeah, actually, I could. I could go to my optometrist. These don't really fit my head. I have such a wide head. I need wider
me too. Ones. I have a wide head.
I have a big head.
We all have we're all big heads here.
We are.
We're all big-headed people in more ways than one. I've got to make sure I get the large hats because otherwise they don't fit my head.
It's very hard to get hats
are extra large.
Yep.
I'm 8.5.
I think we have a scientific discovery here.
Yes.
Podcasters
have big heads. I think that was well knoing already.
Actually, when I first thought about
Leo,
doing
I think
video,
you should keep that on.
And we were still doing our podcasts. It was early enough that people were still using iPods. And the early iPods had a little screen. And I said, all our video should be big head video, like not normal shots like this, but everybody should fill the screen so that we would look normal on the little tiny iPod screen. Fortunately, I never implemented the big head video concept. I could have been rich, I tell you, rich.
People would be throwing money to see a 3-inch by 3-inch head on their tiny phone screen.
I'm really interested.
There's so many
in line
stories.
89, 90, and 91.
90 and 91. Okay.
So it's Melanie Mitchell.
Who's Melanie Mitchell?
She's the one who's at Signal.
Okay. She's got an AI guide for thinking humans.
So here's the Wall Street Journal wrote about it.
This is the story that Paris is reading about how AIs don't think.
They're a bag of heuristics, right? So what it comes down to is they've gotten little clue. Nobody knows how these things work because they're so complex. And what they've gotten down to is that it's not thinking. We know that, but it's a bag of heuristic. It's a bag of rules. It's a whole mess of rules. It's like my wife telling me how to load the dishwasher.
Well, but that's kind of my response to that is that's all we are too.
Yes,
what makes you think we're not a bag of heuristics?
A different set of heuristics.
Yes.
Well, but that's the goal of these AI training is to make it such a big bag of heuristics it's even better than we are.
Exactly.
at predicting what's going to happen.
It's the book that I've quoted often on the show, How History Gets Things Wrong, Our Addiction to Stories by Alex Rosenberg. And yeah, we basically have little videotapes in our head. And when we come across a situation, we play whatever videotapes seem to be relevant and say, oh, I'll go that way.
Now, she quotes Jan LeCun, who I know you think very highly of. In fact, you interviewed him, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did.
On Inside AI. LeCun, along with philosopher Jacob Browning, asserts a system trained on language alone will never approximate human intelligence, even if trained till now until the heat death of the universe.
So this is where we get to the argument about real world models.
Stop. We've done as much as you can at this point with text. Now we got to get robots out in the world.
Do the eggs crack when they fall off the table?
Right. It certainly would improve their intelligence. I mean, we are building bigger and bigger models with now hundreds of billions.
Your glasses right there. You're helping out better right now.
I am. Apparently, it knows exactly where I am, and it can see everything I see. Isn't it funny that Mark was wearing the Meta glasses, but not recording the video with the
I was thinking that too. He should have stood before a mirror and done
it. He was apparently using his phone and talking to his Meta glasses.
Plus, they had obviously
had that parasocial gaze.
Everybody had no lunch outside today. Nobody out lunch. Mark's doing a video.
What is the parasocial gaze? I thought it was named after you, Paris.
That is true. I mean, all things that kind of sound like Paris are named after me, the city included. No, like a parasocial relationship is the relationship much like you, dear listener, might have formed in your head with us. It is a one-sided social relationship that consumers of content form with the content creators. And in some ways, I describe the parasocial gaze as the way that influencers or content creators kind of look at their camera in order to connect with an audience that isn't there when they're recording it, but will be there when the content's being consumed. So in some ways, he had to do the selfie video because if he was recording with the glasses, you wouldn't get the parasocial gaze of Mark Zuckerberg looking at you, the audience.
He has to look back at you, which is why I'm wearing my Meta glasses right now, because I'm looking at you. Yes.
And Mark Zuckerberg is looking at you too.
Wait a minute, really? Apparently, we've known that all along. He's watching me.
Let me correct myself. Melanie Mitchell is not. She is a professor at the Santa Fe Institute.
Okay. Now, the Santa Fe Institute. Oh. Tell me more about that.
I don't know. I've wondered that.
It sounds a little bit like
Werner Earhart Nest.
Yeah.
No, Santa Fe Institute does real science. They do real science.
Yeah, they're good?
It's a real science. She studies AI for them.
Yeah,
okay. They're not hippy dippy.
No, she's somebody we should have on
we
should have her on the show.
Oh, yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Book 'em, Dano. Book 'em, Benito. That's good. I like it. That's my new catchphrase. Book 'em, Benito. She talks about Othello, which is an early example of evidence for emergent world models, that the AIs, after being given enough information, start to actually have a model for the world. So Othello's pretty simple. That's the one where you take turns. It's kind of like a simple go, right? It's like, what's that? You drop anyway. So they... where you drop the 6 and a Connect 4. Thank you. The authors trained a transformer network. They called it Othello GPT with all the legal moves, and it inputted a legal move, and then would output a next legal move in the sequence. Which, by the way, I could do that. Okay, that's easy. But they did it not programmatically, but by training. Then they used an Othello game simulator to generate 20 million different game sequences. They trained on that. Othello's simple enough that you probably could, with 20 million, I imagine, have all the possibilities. I don't know. After training on 20 million sequences, Othello GPT was nearly perfect on predicting a token representing the legal move given the sequence of previous moves. But the question is, what did the network actually learn?
So this was coined, if you go down under the headline World Models versus Bag of Heuristics, by a group of student researchers who wrote a blog post in 2024 saying that they had done this. And then they said, though we cannot rule out that it also learns a single succinct algorithm in addition to these rules, our best guess is that Othello GPT's learned algorithm is just a bag of independent heuristics.
Oh. But we don't know because it's kind of a black box.
They're still guessing. Yep, they're still. Yeah. But they tried to find. They found a location, kind of a memory location where that seemed to happen.
My higher, more meta question is: does it matter?
Oh, that again. Yeah, we want to know how it works. Yeah,
everything matters and nothing
Nihilism.
Matters. This is my philosophy in the life. Everything matters and nothing matters. But in the sense of, is a AI going to generate something of use? Does it matter how it does it is the question.
In terms of how to engineer it, in terms of how to build, if you want to try to build
we kind of know how to engineer these transformers,
if you want to build
guardrails, what they're
rails,
doing inside.
If you want to really build guardrails, it would help to know how it operates, I suspect. If you want to tune it to try to figure out how to do arithmetic.
If you want to build a simulacrum that produces human-like thought, does it matter?
I don't think we need human-like thought.
I think we've got enough human-like thought out there.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Get more than we need.
Yeah. Stop thinking.
Less human thought. Okay. So, these are the deep philosophical questions. You're watching that we pursue here on Intelligent Machines with Jeff Jarvis and Paris Martineau. We're glad you're here. We invite you, if you like the show, to come back. We do the show live on 8 different platforms for our club members. Club Twit Discord. Count for me, will you? How many? Paris has an unusual number of fingers. Is she real?
It's true.
We got your Discord. We got your YouTube. You got your Twitch. You got your TikTok, your X, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and your Kick.
That's 8.
Is it 8? Okay. I was worried that I missed one. You can watch us live every Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. And if you're in the club, of course, you can chat with us. Actually, you could chat on all those platforms, but we like to chat with the Discord especially because those are our club members, the 7,000 people. Not everybody who joins the club does the Discord, but the 7,000 club members who are in the Discord, we love it. Makes it a fun place to hang. That's all.
It does indeed. Look, show the latest image in the Discord, Leo.
They're so
creative.
They're so creative in there. Oh, look at that. Wouldn't you like to join this rock and roll show?
Sorry, I was going up. Yeah, if you go up, it's you in Mars, Leo, with a space helmet on.
Wow.
A little more.
Wow. That's the big head.
Oh,
this is the big head video that we did with Father Robert. It was an experiment back in the day when we wanted to have those big heads. We thought that would be kind of a cool.
This is upsetting. Viscerally
is that
upsetting.
Weird?
It's.
It's amazing what you can do.
I know.
Oh, this one.
There you are. That's
upsetting too.
That is.
Welcome to Mars, ladies and gentlemen. We invite you to join us in the club. Can't promise you'll make it to Mars, but I can promise you'll have a good time. Ad-free versions.
I can promise you'll make it to Mars. If you join the club,
if you have
free trip to Mars.
Nice. $7 a month to get a free trip to Mars. $84 a year. Ad-free versions of all the shows. Access to the Discord. Special programming. We're going to do the photo show on Friday. Jeff, Paris, and I will be doing Google I/O soon. We're going to cover WWDC.
Huh? Is it in your calendar?
When is that?
I'll give you the date. Just swallow another gummy. And
I'll be up till tomorrow.
Up.
Yeah, don't do that to her.
And we will be doing Google I/O on May 20th. May 20th. Not the 21st.
May 20th. All right.
20th, 10 a.m.
Jason told me that there's going to be no
There's an Android event the week before.
They're doing it before. They've moved Android to the kiddie table.
So I will let Jason and the gang at Android Faithful, who do that show all about Android, cover that one. They can have that one. But we'll do the Google I/O at May 20th, 10 a.m. Paris, Jeff and I. We're going to cover Microsoft's Build keynote the day before. We've got WWC coming up. All this now is club only because we got so many takedown notices from Apple. We just decided, why fight it? We're going to do it in the club for club members. It's one more reason to join.
Did anybody other than Apple, any of the other tech companies?
No, believe it or not, it was only Apple.
Of course.
But they did it on YouTube, and then they started doing it on Twitch, and I don't want to get banned from either platform. So we're going to do it all in the club.
See, Apple, we can't have nice things because of you.
No, this is a nice thing.
It is a nice thing.
People to join the club. $7
Well, that's true. It's a very nice thing.
Twit.tv.
Thanks, Apple.
Twit. Join the club. Maybe we'll do the Android thing too. Actually, we should do a simulcast with Android faithful. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up? Well, I know there's always too much stuff to get it all in.
Universities have a computer science problem. Line 133.
Are they having trouble? Because,
No, my friend Ian Bagost is really smart.
Is he a friend of yours? Because I follow him. I like it.
He's the one who introduced me to, he's the editor of the series Object Lessons.
Oh.
So he's one of the two editors. And so he then introduced me to Bloomsbury, and that's how I got my last two books published and my next one published. So
nice. Well, I think
that's friendship for you.
Yeah, I haven't helped you like that. The case for teaching coders to speak French. Okay.
The second line of this article has a crazy stat, which is that 42% of graduates from MIT last year majored in computer science. Nearly half.
Well, that's MIT.
That's great. I mean, yeah, but that's still a lot.
Institute of Technology.
I know, but that's still a lot.
Yeah.
In one, I just hit myself in the eye with a microphone. That's how surprised I was.
So what he's saying, why is that a problem? Is there too many of them?
He had a choice when he went in. He had a choice of taking computer science and engineering or taking computer science in arts and sciences. And a lot of students chose to take it in engineering because they didn't have to learn French. But he switched. He did it in arts and sciences. Then he shifted out anyway and went to philosophy.
It's another argument for the liberal education.
Exactly.
Which
So I'm working now. I did
not have any technology. In fact, the only thing that helped me in technology
in college, Leo, there wasn't any technology.
Well, there was.
Yeah, you would have learned how to smack two rocks together or something.
The thing that helped me the most in technology was I took courses in mathematical logic, which was very helpful. But no, I didn't take any computer science courses. Most of the people in my generation didn't.
Paris, are you laughing at the?
She's laughing at me.
No, I'm laughing at the idea of a course being called Make a Wheel, which is a throwing joke.
Make a wheel. In this course,
today we're going to make fire.
Make the most important invention of humankind. A round object we like to call the wheel.
The wheel. Everybody's furiously taking notes.
Remember, the diameter
gotta be
of the wheel
round, but it can't be too round.
Is this going to be on the final?
If you want the wheel to roll, it's very important that the radius at every point be the same length. Otherwise,
Wheel 101.
I'm surprised you remember this much from Wheel 101.
It was one of the most important courses I took. That right next to Fire.
Professor Flintstone.
101. How to use it, how to strike it, how to use it, how to blow it out. It's very important. Very important.
Where were we? Before I so rudely interrupted ourselves. Oh, it's computer science problems. So yeah, so I'm working on. I'm part of the steering committee for a new program at Stony Brook called Technology, AI, and Society, and the aim is to try to bring everyone in from other disciplines, and we need that because the geeks have been in charge. It's time to demote the geeks.
I disagree wholeheartedly, but okay, fine.
It's time to promote some other people.
You should learn French. I'm not against it.
Says Mr. Laporte.
I do think, I mean, my take has always been that I think that while I understand the practical reality of people going to college and majoring in something that will have will immediately translate to job potential. In America, that's certainly something that is incredibly important given the cost of college. I do think that in an ideal world, college education should be less about preparing you to fulfill a specific job function, more about teaching you how to think. And having a robust humanity-centric education is often critical in developing critical thinking skills and just becoming a more well-rounded person. I would love a world where we could go back to that. But the current cost of college education does not make that viable for most people.
What Ian argues in here is that you might be better off creating a college of computing outside of a college of engineering so that you're motivated to have a differently rounded curriculum, which I think is an interesting idea, that computing is so important in the world now. It's kind of surprising we don't have that.
Rounded curriculum is something that they'd have expertise at Wheel 101.
Yes. So we educate well-rounded students.
Wheel 101.
We've got a steering committee that drives this car all the way down the road.
We do not recommend using your feet to accelerate the vehicle. Keep your hands and feet inside all the time and use a yak like modern guides.
Think first, how would you stop this thing?
Before you start it, very important, think about how you're going to stop it.
You shouldn't start out by saying yappa dabba doo and going down the hill. That's advanced wheeling. That's in wheeling and dealing 3.0.
Gravity is a 102
course. In all seriousness now, I'm a little worried about South by Southwest. It was a very successful conference just a few weeks ago. But it is owned, I didn't realize this, by Penske Media.
Because they've had to rescue it during the pandemic.
They saved it. Right.
They did save it. And Hugh Forrest was the reason I didn't go to South by. I stopped going to South by Southwest. So
okay, so he is now out. It was fired apparently. Why didn't you like Hugh Forrest?
I was going there once to speak, and I mentioned on the socials, whatever there was at the time, that I was going to go speak somewhere else. And he became, you're not allowed to speak anywhere else when you're speaking to South by Southwest. You can't do that. I thought, and I tried to just kind of banter back, and he was just difficult. And I just said, I don't need you. And then once you stopped going, Leo, there was no reason to go.
I had a lot of fun. The couple of times I went, we know many people who go every year, and many people.
It's mainly Germans and marketers now. I know what Germans love it. Love it.
The name may be familiar because they, in fact, were the big racing family that took the money that they made from their auto parts and their oil business and invested in media. They own the Rolling Stone, the Hollywood Reporter. They own the Golden Globes. Recently acquired that. They did save South by in 2021 when COVID was about to kill it, bought 50% of the company at the time. They took control of the festival 2 years ago by buying another 1%. And they laid off not only the president of South by Southwest, Hugh Forrest, by the way, saying that he voluntarily left.
But he disagrees.
He says, no, it was not my decision. I put my heart and soul into this event for more than 35 years, and I was looking forward to leading several more editions. 10 other people left, including its longtime head of communications and the chief technology officer. There are still 150 festival employees.
Wow.
I have Penske gets some a pass somewhat because they saved it. It wouldn't be there at all if they hadn't invested. But I'm a little nervous about the reorg because it's one of those fragile things, I think.
Does Penske outright own Vox now? They listed on their...
Wow. Maybe.
Wait, yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, yeah. Penske, I believe, is part of... They invested, I'm forgetting the details. They invested, I believe, like $100 million in Vox somewhat recently. Yeah.
You know, there is, of course, quite a consolidation in the media business. We have a little small town newspaper, which is now owned by Hearst.
What's better than other choices?
Don't it? As they say.
Used to be owned by the New York Times, and then was bought by a local family for a few years. But Hearst has just recently bought it, along with the big city newspaper up there in Santa Rosa.
To clarify my earlier point, yes, Penske did invest $100 million in Vox, effectively purchasing 20% of Vox.
Okay. So they don't have a controlling interest.
They have a controlling interest.
Wait a minute. That means Vox is worth $500 million?
Yes. I mean, Vox had, which is a huge
I think it was
head
higher
cut.
Valuation earlier.
I was going to say that was a huge haircut from its previous valuations.
They were worth more than
enough of a haircut. It's a head cut.
It's a head cut. It's a head. They'll be taking that green ribbon to tie it back on.
Amazon has announced, and I think this is brilliant, car dealers are going to do it. They're going to put on the sticker price. And by the way, the tariff
Leo, you're a little
will cost you a little bit more.
News,
Amazon announced, well, let's get the whole story, because Amazon announced going forward, tariff costs will be itemized out in the overall cost.
And the Wall Street Journal thinks it's a great idea, by the way.
I do think it's a great idea. The White House did not. They immediately said it was unpatriotic, and I don't know. So what's the latest? Are they not going to do it now?
Well, so Bezos made excuses when Trump called him and said, no, that was one small little division that was thinking about it. They hadn't decided. No, we're not doing it.
And Bezos, to clarify, not the CEO of Amazon.
Not Andy Jassy.
Right.
No, Andy Jassy is technically the CEO, but of course Bezos is one of the people that has
we
the
know who really
relationship with Trump.
runs the place. Yeah. Well, the president does have the Take It Down Act sitting on his table. The House voted 409-2 to pass the bill. The Senate 98-2. It sounds like on the surface exactly like a perfectly reasonable thing. In fact, it's the first time there's been any online safety legislation to pass both houses. It would require social media companies to take down content flagged as non-consensual, including AI-generated sexual images. Social media companies will have 48 hours to do so. However, the EFF and many others, TechDirt's been leading the charge on this, say that it really is just going to give the government a weapon against content. Trump actually even admitted this in his State of the Union address. He said, I'm going to use that bill for myself, too, if you don't mind, because nobody gets treated worse than I do online. Nobody. Well, now, how can he use it to take down? Well,
I mean, that is still to be said. From what I've heard from people on the Hill involved with this, as well as, I mean, lobbying groups and lobbyists representing large, medium, and small tech firms, it does seem like this bill at least was conceived of with kind of the input of not just the giant tech companies. It does seem like there was a lot of work with groups representing medium-sized tech companies to make sure that the bill is worded in a way that will allow smaller tech companies to comply with it in a way. But I do think that, as you said, there is a pressing concern with regards to how this new power is going to be used in terms of censorship. When we see a similar thing with the weaponization of DMCA takedowns, some people have figured out ways to kind of weaponize that system in order to take down content that they don't have a legal right to take down.
Because you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
For instance, I've been really worried about this with our Mastodon instance. It means I have 48 hours if somebody complains to take it down. Not enough time to verify whether the complaint is legit.
And on what bases can someone complain?
Any basis that, well, I mean, they have to say,
it's supposed to be, well, specifically
revenge porn or something, right?
Yeah, it's only if it is non-consensual,
intimate
graphic,
imagery.
Intimate image.
Well, you don't want any
involving
intimate images at all.
Yeah, I take, as soon as I see them, I ban people, kick them out. So I do that anyway. We'll see. The problem is the 48 hours. There's also one more problem. End-to-end encryption. They are not exempt from the bill. So any company like Apple that provides end-to-end encryption is still responsible for anything that's in the encrypted data. And the EFF has warned, how can such services comply with the takedown requests mandated in this bill? Platforms may respond by abandoning encryption entirely in order to be able to monitor content turning private conversations into surveilled spaces, something law enforcement in this country and all over the world has wanted all along. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's one of the reasons that's getting so much backing. I mean, if you just read the face of it and you don't consider the challenge of it, you could say, well, this is a good thing. We're finally a big step towards protecting people from non-consensual imagery. But we shall see. We shall see. Thomas Massie, Republican of Kentucky, one of two Republican members who voted against the bill, said he couldn't support it because I feel this is a slippery slope ripe for abuse with unintended consequences. Right. Right. Anyway, we'll watch. It will almost certainly be signed into law in the next few hours.
Mike Besnick's head is going to explode.
Yeah, Mike's really become the poster boy for freedom of
Kathy
speech.
On this weekend, right?
Yeah, Kathy Gellis.
I didn't get to listen to it all. Did she say anything about this?
No, we didn't talk. Actually, we did not get to the Take It Down Act. I wish we had. It hadn't passed yet, and I thought there's no way, and I was wrong. Well, anything else before we move to your picks of the week?
I'm curious. Have you looked at the slate?
Yeah, I asked Lisa because Lisa's been saying for a long time that she wants to buy a pickup truck, but she doesn't want one of the big, ginormous penis mobiles.
What is the slate? Are we talking about that car
truck
that's pedal based?
Yeah, it's got wheels. They're round. No, she's she wants a small, like they used to make little small Japanese trucks. Well, there's a company, and it turns out it's funded by Jeff Bezos primarily, called Slate Auto, that is planning to offer an EV truck for $27,000. After the rebate, it'd be about $20,000, but it doesn't even come with a radio.
Everything's an add-on.
It does come very kindly. It comes with a holder for your phone, but it doesn't have speakers.
It doesn't
have speakers?
It doesn't have speakers, so you'll have to bring a phone and
that
speakers. But like I said, it already has the...
In the old days, Paris, in the old days, we used to go in and we didn't buy the car off the lot. We went in and said, we want this and that, not that, and this and that, and all these choices. And then it was made for us in Detroit, and then it would arrive. That's the way we used to buy
but it
cars.
was never as bare bones as this. It doesn't have a paint job. It's made of plastic, by the way, like the old Saturn.
How does that work in terms of crash safety?
They say crash test is absolutely safe. You can buy, this is the SUV add-on that you can add on to it.
You add on chairs and
you can. It's completely customizable. I said, Lisa, this is what you were looking for, which is a small, inexpensive pickup truck. To which she said, I'll wait till their third version before I buy it, which is probably
smart.
A smart.
If they're still around, yep.
Yeah. Refreshingly uncluttered, they say. Here's the dashboard. It is. It's refreshing. But you know what? It's a car. And actually, as somebody who drives electric vehicles, my first electric vehicle, which was a Tesla Model X, I kind of felt like this is really just a golf cart with a big computer on it.
Oh, yeah.
The EVs really aren't that sophisticated. In fact, that's the other advantage of this. Very low maintenance. Electric engines are very simple. They don't really have the same problems that gas engines do. You still have to charge at home. Here's the size comparison. So there's a slate with a overlay of the Silverado Ford Maverick. This is the one Lisa wants, like an old 1985 Toyota.
I mean, that's cute.
SR5. Yeah. It's the same. It's even.
What's the range?
Does
it say? I will also say I don't think you can put speakers in the car. It is designed.
No, you bring a Bluetooth speaker.
You just always have a Bluetooth speaker and phone in there, which I mean, I guess is.
But you can add a screen. You can add
I don't think so.
Yeah. That's one of the.
I see this thing as a totally modular platform.
Yeah,
where,
that's what it is.
Going to build stuff for it. Well,
they say
it
won't be huge range. It'll be under 200 miles. We have to see the actual range information, but they'll also offer wraps. So if you want color, you can wrap it with color.
It Wait, if it's plastic, can it take to like any kind of paint then? Like, can you just paint it yourself with whatever?
Yeah, it would be pretty easy. They save a lot of money.
And one of the stories I read said that I wanted to hire a graffiti artist to paint my car so that my car was unique.
Yeah. Why not? You can have any color you want. Like, here's the color wheel. You can make it whatever color. Ooh, look. See, that's a two-tone. Ooh, I like that. Ooh. Anyway, I'm building my own. I'm doing it all myself, man. Do I want a decal? Do I want exterior, wheels and tires?
Does it have lists of internal options?
Let's see. Interior.
That's a nice.
Here you go. Here you go. We can have it all kinds of.
Interior decal set.
Oh, so it's still just design.
Yeah, it just seems like it's mostly
personalization.
I don't know. You know, at that price, I'm kind of tempted. My lease for my existing EV runs out in a couple of years. I might end up driving this little sucker around. I could see it.
Tootling around.
Yes.
You know, since I've been back here in Florida, I was talking to my parents, and I did get a kind of interesting insight into the average potential electric vehicle consumer. My parents have always been, I don't know, no reason I'd get an electric vehicle. My mom's car was in the shop for a while, and they, as a replacement, gave her a brand new electric BMW that she had to drive. And I was like, oh, isn't it great? Isn't an electric vehicle fun? And she's like, no, it's awful. No one at the BMW dealership could teach me how to plug it in. I had to watch hours of YouTube videos, but all of them assumed that you know how to plug it in to begin with. And she's like, and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, my mom's not the most technically savvy person, but it was an interesting conundrum.
That's
I hadn't thought of.
That's a legitimate point.
There is a learning curve to using electric vehicles for the average person.
Early on in the electric vehicle world, when you went to a regular car dealer and bought their electric vehicle, they knew nothing about it. I had a Ford Mustang Mach-E. They knew nothing about it. But that has changed over time. Now the dealership, I think, especially
given that you're in a city where, people are probably buying electric vehicles with more. Yeah, California, maybe not in Florida.
But I have a BMW. I have an electric BMW. I like it quite a bit.
I went to test drive a Volvo electric, and this is how new I am to it. They said, you want the one pedal or two pedal? I said, what?
What?
You heard that?
You always get two pedals, by the way. Don't be fooled. But the one pedal drive, so you got a brake pedal and accelerator, but because it's just like a golf cart, when you take your foot off the accelerator, this is called one pedal driving, it brakes, it slows down because it's doing regenerative braking and charging the battery.
I said the same thing, Paris. Paris's eyes crossed at the thought.
I'm just like, I can't imagine.
You get very used to it very quickly. I prefer one pedal driving, to be honest. That's all the Teslas are one pedal. You still have a brake. It's not like they get rid of the brake, but
where's the brake if there's only one pedal?
There's still two pedals. You only use one pedal. But by the way, you get used to it. I rarely use my brake because you lift off as you approach the stop sign, and you know exactly how long it's going to go before it stops. It's great, and you're adding to your battery every time you do that.
Absolutely not. I still have three pedals, and I use all three.
You have a clutch. You're like an old school man.
Well.
No, I far prefer it. In fact, most of the time when people drive an electric vehicle, they go, oh, this is great.
Hey, if you're out there and you have 4 pedals, 6 pedals, get in the comments. I want to see who's got the most pedals.
I think 3 is the most you can get.
Hey, you never know.
My father learned on a double clutch.
What?
You still have one clutch pedal.
You had one clutch, but you had to put it in before you shifted and then after you shifted, both.
They do that with trucks sometimes. And my old VW had a little lever to give you the reserve tank because it didn't have a gas gauge. So you just drove it till it ran out of gas. Yeah. And then you'd flip the lever, you'd get an extra half gallon or whatever. It was a small amount. Just enough to get.
You just drove until you ran out of gas?
Mm-hmm. You had no idea. And there was no trip odometer, so you couldn't do that.
You had no idea. You just drive, it'd start to go, then you'd flip the reserve tank. And then you go, I got a little while, but I got to get to a gas station.
How insane is it that you've gone from a world where you just drove until you ran out of gas to a world where you've got AI on every part of you?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Now I understand why you're an accelerationist. You're like, I can't believe any of this is happening.
You know why, really?
One day we had the wheel, and then look what we had.
I'm an accelerationist because I'm going to be dead soon, and I just want to see how far we can get before I die.
Well, you sound like, so I'm almost finished with, and I think Benito's trying to get this author. who I recommended. Adam Becker, More Everything Forever. It's great. It is superb. And he talks about all of the TestGrail folks, and they just want to stay alive. It's Kurzweil. They want to stay alive long enough to stay alive forever, right? That's the shtick.
I should mention in Jacob Warb's book at the very beginning, he, in just a few pages, demolishes the notion that we will ever leave this planet. We've got to make it work. Same
with this book too. Yeah.
Same with City on Mars, another good book that does the same thing.
Yes, it does.
It is not viable.
No.
It would take 400
unless you
days.
subscribe to Club Twit, then you're going. You're going to Mars.
We're gonna have some new way of.
We're shipping you off.
We're not telling you how. It might end up that after you die, I collect some of your ashes and I shoot them off towards Mars, but you're still going. Club Twit.
I don't think I'll get to Mars in my lifetime. I would go if they offered me even a one-way trip. I would go, but
it would be.
You would die on Mars? I wouldn't go to die on Mars.
The problem is you're more likely to die on the way to Mars. It's 400 days. No human has spent that much time in space. You are exposed to cosmic rays. You got no gravity. It's a nightmare getting there.
No, you'll be alive when you get there. You'll just be in really bad shape.
Barely.
I'm curious, Jeff and Benito, if you're offered a one-way ticket to Mars, you go on?
Absolutely not. No way. That's crazy.
Me neither.
Even if there's colonies already, it's like that's dumb.
You're not my age.
There's no internet on Mars.
Same here.
What am I going to do?
I'm fascinated. I've fantasized about it.
I'd go because
You'd go?
Jeff and I are not going forever. We're going to be gone soon. We want to do something interesting on the way out.
I would only do it if it worked like it worked in the movies, but it's not going to work that way. It's not going to work.
I know. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a nightmare.
I don't think I would even do it if it worked the way it did on the movies.
If it's like Star Wars style,
There's
like I can lift off my spaceship and get onto Mars, then sure, I'll go to Mars. But if that's
There's nothing. What am I going to do on Mars? I'll be bored like 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
You can't breathe air.
Because you'll have to be underground.
There's no one to talk to.
Paris, no. You will love it. You know why? Because you have to live in a tunnel.
Oh, I thought you were going to say because you have to live on neurogummies.
I mean, that's also probably true. Those would be two compelling points to move to Mars, but I think that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching The Incredible Intelligent Machines with Jeff Jarvis and Paris Martineau. Our picks of the week coming up next. Shall we start our picks of the week with you, Ms. Martineau?
I have a listener generated pick of the week.
Oh, good.
I suppose
always welcome to do that.
I suppose I should look up who sent me this. Pete Cook on Twitter at Blind Pete sent me this archive.org link that he said, I knew you'd love, and he was right. It's a collection of cassettes posted by Mark Davis that says, okay, I have to admit this is a strange collection. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, I worked for Kmart behind the service desk, and the store played specific pre-recorded cassettes issued by corporate. This was background music, or perhaps you'd call it elevator music. Anyway,
saved them.
I saved these tapes from the trash during this period. And this video shows you my extensive odd collection. So you've got canned elevator music with instrumental rendition of songs, some advertisements, weird announcements.
Does it have the flashing blue light special announcement? I want that.
No, I want attention Kmart shoppers. We need attention Kmart shoppers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the blue light special. Yeah.
Let's see. Where would it be here?
This is Kresge. That's different.
This little card can make the big difference whether a Briggs & Stratton engine lasts for years.
Oh, love it.
Or minutes.
And that was a long
one.
Long delay.
Oh, it's a film strip. It's a film strip with a tape.
SS Kresge training on how to complete the sale. So I guess the trainer is supposed to talk during this long drum roll.
There are some good ones of just general music too down here, and I don't know. I just found it really fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to listen to this.
I would really like to find the blue light special announcement.
Yeah, I would.
What is the blue light special?
Because they would regularly do that, and you'd have to. And they would say, "Not right now in haberdashery, a flashing blue light
Kmart
special."
shoppers.
Like that's how sales were before the internet.
Yeah, and they had a flashing blue light. It was like a cop light.
Run over to the blue light, right? Because it was on the sale, or was it in the
what?
Was the whole
there was
store?
A physical blue light in the store?
In the Kmart,
yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, we got to, surely there's video flash. Come on, we got to find this for Paris.
There's got to be. Hold on, I just searched blue light in here.
No, flashing blue light is important.
Oh, flashing.
Flashing blue light special.
Here you go.
No sound.
Attention, Kmart shoppers. Welcome, and thank you for shopping with us here at Kmart in Sweetwater, where we bring fun and excitement to your shopping experience, as well as thousands of holiday savings throughout our store. And right now, just in time.
He's talking to the bottom of a telephone.
Hey, special. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Direct your attention to the plastic blue light.
Love that.
He's good. I like him.
That's great.
This is on archive.org. Another reason to love archive.org. It's called Attention Kmart Shoppers, Mark Davis and others. Mark started it, but there are now 264 cassettes on there, including Kresge training.
And there are just really interesting descriptions on a lot of these tapes too about how they digitized it, the strange conditions they found, the reel-to-reel decks and how they were straightened out. It's just a real treasure trove of stuff.
Paris, did you ever have a job where you had to watch training videos before you took the floor?
I think when I worked as a hostess at Cracker Barrel, I did.
Yeah,
yes.
Cracker Barrel would have had them. Okay. I worked at McDonald's, and you had to go down in the basement and watch these videos like this one. You're in show business.
What is strange? It's not playing the sound.
It's another slide strip.
Yeah, I think
it's another. Oh, it's a slide strip.
You're
Oh my
reading a
god!
book, or there's somebody.
Oh, someone doing it. That's fun.
It's beauty, glamour, excitement, TV spectaculars, Hollywood premieres. And
Word
show
salad
business is part of your work at Kresge. When you take care of a section in a Kresge store, you're in show business. Look at it this way.
I always wanted to be in show business.
Show business is knowing how to make a good appearance. It's knowing how to get attention. It's knowing how to give the customers what they want. And that's your business, too.
I love this
Take
guy's
that matter
voice.
of making a good appearance, for instance.
I could probably have done that had I been born in an earlier era. Mr. Jeff Jarvis, do you have a...
I have two quick things. One is that according to Axios, we are far from alone now. Content creators, all the people who were doing prompt engineering, they're all now content creators. The hugely fast-growing, air quotes, job category. The number of people full-time employment jobs as digital creators in the U.S. jumped from 200,000 in 2020 to 1.5 million in 2024.
Wow.
And I love this, the Axios. Why it matters. Creators are now the largest and fastest growing segment of the 28.4 internet-dependent jobs in the U.S.
Wow. I guess I'm internet dependent. I guess I am,
are.
come to think of it. Without the internet, I would have to go to Kresge and dance.
Creator media revenue is growing 5 times the rate of traditional media sector. Traditional media, however, is falling so much that you're barely keeping your nose above water, but that's another matter. All right, so that's one. The other one is for Paris, because this, I think we should make it a regular segment, is Leo and Jeff explain the past to Paris.
In the good old days.
In the good old days. This is rabbit ears.
Paris, do you know what rabbit ears are?
They're the ears on a rabbit?
That's true. You're not wrong.
But there's something.
They're a name for someone going like this behind your head?
Well, watch this.
It's a technology
video.
that requires explanation.
Those. Yeah, I know those. The antennas.
Those are the
Listen, you turn the sound up.
Go through the middle in between.
The idea is the signal goes right through the middle of the rabbit ears, and the rabbit ears grab it right out of the sky.
No, that's not true.
Whether you have it full length or not, whether the things are pulled right up.
Well, as it turns out, the length does make a difference. It has a function of
length doesn't matter. You heard it here first.
But I wouldn't worry about it. The manufacturers figured that all out for you.
Shorter and longer.
Experimental.
Shorter and longer.
Tuning your TV. So just fiddle around and try.
Just fiddle around.
With the same length for 2 arms?
Well, technically, yes. Theoretically, yes.
I think this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Right, but for openers, when you're just getting started, try turning it so that it's aimed this way.
Between where you have your power is. Not all sets, though, have movable rabbit ears, do they?
Regrettably, some sets.
Oh, that jaw.
All sets have movable rabbit ears. That's when you go to J.C. Kresge's for your rabbit ear selection.
Is that
it's funny that you say that because I just saw somewhere a picture of rabbit ears for sale in the store, but I don't remember
doesn't
where
work with digital anymore. Digital TV.
Yeah, for
no,
what?
Yeah, but it was like in Mexico or somewhere.
Leo, is her because you're from that part of the country.
You can still get TV.
Can you still buy rabbit ears?
You can still do that. Yeah.
I thought analog TV's gone. No, it's gone. There was a whole thing.
Digital, but you can get it digital.
It's still a signal through the radio signal through the air.
It doesn't look like rabbit ears.
No, it's like a little dish now.
Well, you could buy rabbit ears, but you shouldn't.
Yes,
you should buy a Yagi or something more appropriate.
So, Leo, is that a posh Boston accent? That's not a British accent, is it?
The accent I'm using?
No, the woman in that video.
Oh, hers. It's the same thing. It's a phony mid-Atlantic British accent that movie stars in the 20s used to use, even though they were from Poughkeepsie.
I think we should do the podcast like this.
Don't you remember?
I think so. With our jaws barely moved.
I remember. Everybody spoke the same. I think she was local. I don't know. Maybe she was British. She might have been British.
I don't think so. I think she might have been.
I think that was, you know how that movie star accent was, right?
Yeah.
The speed test from Ookla. You've probably used it from time to time.
Oh, yes, often.
Oh, where you Google speed tests.
Cursing in my hotel room is when I use it.
Well, they have a new speed test.
Oh.
It's called Orb. How's the internet? Orb knows.
I'm always saying that.
Speed.
How's the internet? Ask the orb.
Ask the orb. Well, let's get the orb. Download
you ask the orb,
Mac
how's the internet?
Store.
And it says, try again later.
The internet is not good. So it's available everywhere. You can run it as an app on your phone, on your computer. And it's kind of like speed test, but for the longest time, we've known this. We don't just test people's speed. That's actually not the most important thing. Jitter and other latency and other factors really can impact how your FaceTime calls are, your Zoom calls, that kind of thing. So I do, in fact, think this is probably a good thing to get. It's free right now. They hope to make money by...
My question is, how do they hope to make money? And if this is just running in the background, aren't they selling your internet?
No, they white label it to Comcast and other people. That's the hope. Let's do this. I've never done it before. What is our orb score? Anything less than 80 is something wrong with your internet. But it looks like my orb score is pretty darn good.
You want a meaty orb.
Pretty good on the old Comcast business. That's my orb score. And you can see it's
if I do it, I'm going to get
speedy.
angry that mine's not good enough for this.
Well, you know what? We're probably going to start telling people to install this and run it before they come on the show, because that's actually
it's really funny that the website I looked at Orb and the thing says introducing Orb-Orblog. Love to introduce Orb, and then you click a button that says Get Orb.
Get Orb.
What's the URL?
Get the Orb.
Orb.net.
Yeah. But then
how are you testing it in browser? You can't test it without downloading an app?
You can't test it in a browser because the browser is lying to you. So we've known that also for a while. You need an app to really
So I need your help. Speaking of devices, I need your
advice. By the way, you keep this running in the background.
So it uses
I don't like
resources.
that. I don't like that.
Well, you could turn it off run it for a night, overnight or something. Just get some idea.
So I need HiveMind technical help here.
Okay.
For the next book, I want to keep everything in PDFs so that I can use the tools and play with it and know how that works and not have thousands of pages of printouts, which I have around me. And I need to be able to read the PDF on a tablet and mark it and sync it easily with Google Drive. The Remarkable is one. I've also looked at this at the
You haven't used the
Kobo.
Remarkable recently, though. You used it and had trouble
the first
syncing.
week
I think
out.
they got a lot better at that, by the
So
way.
the Remarkable, what's the one for Android? The
Kobo.
Kobo,
I would not recommend.
Okay, I want to hear why in a second. The books, and also the Amazon one. The
Amazon Scribe, which I have both.
Or
the Scribe
just a
and
tablet. Talk to me. My goal is to be able to mark and annotate PDFs, and when I close it, it goes back into Google Drive where it was. I don't have to do any moving around stuff. That's my goal.
I think an iPad is probably the right thing, only because it does so much more.
Are you able to mark on Google Drive using an iPad though, like with a stylus?
That's a function of Google Drive, and I don't know.
Chrome I can.
You can in Chrome. Okay, then you'll be able to do it. I would think.
Well, Chromebook.
But do you want to be able to write on it?
Yes.
But that's a
Chrome
feature
that's
a feature that Docs offers.
Okay.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would imagine it would do it in Safari. Let me check. I think you're better off getting a full tablet.
Don't forget I live like you eat at Google here.
Yeah. Well, you can get a Google tablet.
Yeah, so wouldn't an Android tablet just do that for you? Wouldn't that all work?
No, you see, the problem is the Android, it's like my phone. I went on my phone and I couldn't really do it, whereas on my Chromebook, I can use the Files app, and it has this. Or I go to, whatchamacallit, who controls the PDF? Adobe, but they charge between $12 and $20 a month.
No, Adobe.
Well, maybe we can leave this. I don't know. Should we? You want to ask people to send you emails and help you out? And
or just DM me.
You can get an answer next week.
Let me know what you find out, because this is something I've wanted to do, but for no particular reason. But I feel like it would be good. I've seen a lot of good stuff about the Remarkable, but
people
like the Remarkable actually, but it's not doing what you want to do, which is not. It's going to download it to the Remarkable. You're going to mark it up, and it's going to automatically sync it to Drive. But it's not going to. If you want to leave it on Drive,
in essence, that's what I can do now. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure that out, and I don't think Android is going to work. I think there's Chrome tablets now. The Chrome tablet that you got with
I could try it right now. I got it right.
The docking thing, but that's meant for home for turning on the lights. It's not really meant for reading.
No, it's a full size tablet.
Is that Chrome?
Yeah, and there's Chrome. Yes, you got your Chrome.
No, is it Chrome? Is it a Chrome OS?
No, it's what it is.
Is it Android or is it Chrome?
Who knows?
What do you do for a living? You don't know?
It looks like it's Android. It looks pretty Android-y to me.
All right.
But that's okay. What do you care what the OS is?
Because Chrome OS has the Files app, and the Files app allows you to annotate.
Well, I bet this has a Files app.
So that app doesn't exist on Android?
I don't know. I couldn't find it. I don't know. Or you got to do some kind of third-party thing.
I'll open this app. It's called Files on this.
Okay, now open a PDF.
Allow Files to send you notifications. Sure. Now I'm in Files, and I want to look for. I don't know if I have any PDFs. Let's see here if I can find a PDF. Search for PDFs. Nope. Oh, you know why? Because this is searching on the tablet. Let me look at my Drive for a PDF. That's why.
Yeah, that's
so. This will go to Drive. This is the Files
app. Okay, that's good. All right, good.
Okay, this is Real-Time Help. PDF.
That's what you've done for a living.
Here is your book.
Well, you can't mark books.
Look at that. Well, I won't do that. I will do AI in the Valley. This was one of our guests, right? AI Valley. Here's the PDF. This is Gary Rivlin. It's going to be on the show soon, isn't he? Gary Rivlin.
It's going to be on Twitch on Sunday.
On Sunday, it's going to be. He wrote AI Valley, right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
All right, we can do this next week. I didn't mean to catch you.
Scroll up. I just need to mark it, right? I need to mark it up. So presumably this is going to have some sort of, where do you get the markup? So there's some text. I don't see any tools. Open with, well, you could open it with something.
But he wants to keep it in Drive.
Annotate with Cami.
But what's Cami?
It's some PDF annotation tool.
Yeah.
Right?
But then you're going to have to pay for that. At that point, it just gets Remarkable.
Or it does it up in the cloud and you can't do it on a plane.
Well, this may not be a good test because I don't know if it's locked or not. But Anyway, anywho,
folks,
get in the comments.
This is a good one
got a
for
solution.
crowdsourcing.
Let me know.
Or you could just ask, Gemini would know.
I know better.
Jiminy Cricket.
It'll make up an answer.
Yeah.
This week, an old guy's trying to figure out how computers work. Thanks for joining us. That would be a fun show.
As the ChatGPT roast says, Leo finds a way to turn every 3 hours AI podcast into
through the rabbit ears, and then they grab it, and then they put it, and it goes down the rabbit ears into your TV set, where it finds Paris Martineau. She is a trained professional journalist. You can reach her at paris.nyc. That's her website. It's wonderful to see you. Have a great wedding. Is it you that is getting married?
No, it is not me that's getting married.
Are you in the wedding?
My friend got married this weekend, and I was the maid of honor, and it was great.
Congratulations.
As you should be.
Did you wear a lovely dress, or did you have a mohawk?
I did wear I wore a lovely dress. Many people said I was the most competent maid of honor they've ever seen. A compliment I did not expect.
There's a word that you want to hear.
Or like
when it comes
effective.
to maids of honor.
I didn't realize that
competent.
I accomplished a lot.
Did you do the toast?
I did. I made a lot of people cry, which was, I think, part of the competence.
Aren't you supposed to make them laugh?
I made them laugh.
No, cry's good. Okay. Cry's good. Any emotion.
There was a laugh. There was a cry.
Laugh first
we
and
ended
then
with a laugh. Yeah.
Okay.
So nice to see you, Paris. Jeff Jarvis, Professor Emeritus of Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University. I tried to beat it, but I couldn't.
You can't stop this train.
Now at Mary Jane State University. Is it Mary Jane? Marymount.
Montclair State.
Marijuana State University?
That would be that.
I'm getting punchy.
Enrollment going.
I hope.
Have you noticed Paris has now come down a bit? I think
maybe
it's getting back.
I
to
mean,
normal.
listen, I feel a tightness in my chest that was not there 3 hours ago. But perhaps
I need a neuro gummy.
I gotta hit another one. I may be coming down a little bit.
No, don't.
See how many days you can go without sleeping. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, it's really fun. I don't think I'd be the first person to do that. That'd be smart.
Well, I see Paris, the reason she's pushing for the 24-hour show is she wants to be like Senator Booker and do the whole thing.
Do the neuro.
I mean, that's what I'm saying is right now we're in a prime period for the next couple of weeks where I got nothing but time. I could take as many hours of the 24-hour show as you want me to.
Oh, and so it doesn't have to be for New Year. It could be.
No. I'm saying it could just be a random day where we want to raise some money for Twit. Yeah, and I'll be there for as many hours as you want.
West by Northwest.
A telethon. I can do a tap dance.
Benito, do you want to do that?
I can't do one, but I could.
I mean, I'm not doing the whole 24 hours, but I'm down to
neuro gummies are on me.
I was going to say, we could, there's quite a few in here. We could send it around.
I'm tempted. Every time I mention this to Lisa, she says, no. Just like that.
Get in the comments, people. Advocate for the 24-hour live stream you wish to see.
I'm trying to get you under 3 hours, not 24 hours.
Listen, we're already at 3 hours.
We're at 2 hours and 40 minutes. We're good. We're golden.
Only 20.
We went a little long, but we're going to cut all
21 more
BS out, and it'll be a half-hour show. It'll be great. Jeff's books are, of course, the Gutenberg Parenthesis, which you must get in paperback or hardcover from your favorite bookstore, and The Web We Weave. And it was Independent Bookstore Day this weekend. I hope you went out and bought some copies of Jeff's book at your favorite independent bookstore. Keep them in business. Because otherwise it's all Amazon all the way down.
I'll be recording magazine, I think, next week.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Although, get the book, because then you have the pictures. Right?
The pictures.
There's no pictures.
There's no pictures. You did it. Wait a minute. You did a book called Magazine that had no pictures.
Can you imagine what it would take to clear the images? Oh, that cover, photographer was, it would have been possible.
Have you ever interacted with a media lawyer working on image copyright? They basically just shoot you with a gun and tell you to go away. That's their whole job.
You can't do that.
Better off dead than trying to get
Sorry, you can't do that. All right. So might as well get the audio book. You're not missing nothing.
You get to
On the other hand, this show, you should watch the video because there's lots of good pictures in this show, right? As always, I don't want to end the show because you know why? Because it's a sad, lonely night after it's over. Yeah. I appreciate it. And
so when you go downstairs, does Lisa say, how was it?
Yeah, she says, how was it? She has not yet gotten to the point where she says, was it over 3 hours?
You want to go down today?
How long was
I go down and I say it was just like 2.5 hours.
And she knows you're lying.
Cool 2 hours and change. She doesn't realize the change is pretty way
99 cents. Yeah.
Hey, that's still change.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time on This Week in Intelligent Machines.